What's up, guys? I'm Sid Vicious, and we are back with our second episode. I'm super excited today because we're talking about point capping. It's a different play style for leagues, and we have a special guest here, Chaotic Light. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, a little short, kind of formal intro, but I like to keep things pretty casual. So we'll just kind of talk about leagues and whatnot. So let me just start by asking you, I reached out to you because I saw you very active in the point cap discussion, and I just kind of wanted to get your, like your goals, your play style, and why you go for point capping, etc.
Absolutely. So I didn't really get into leagues until Leagues 5. That was my first real step into it. Before that, I was always at the mindset, oh, this is a time away from the main game. But I really embraced it then. And I went straight through, got to Dragon, kept going, and got a little disheartened when I realized that point capping was not possible at that time since the regions were not equal.
Mm-hmm.
And then when this time they announced every region has the same amount of points, there will be no impossible task. That just lit the spark. It's a fun goal. I know that it is possible and feasible, and that just made me really want to go for it. So I've been just deep in the community since then, being a bit of a math nerd and just calculating various things. Spent a lot of time on Excel these last few weeks.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who play the game are like basically like devs or a bunch of nerds who just like to look at numbers and plans and use a lot of spreadsheets.
Yeah, especially the planning bit. I think honestly, for many of us, planning is a little bit more fun than executing.
Yeah, yeah,
Drafting up how we're going to get to something or in how much time, that's a lot of fun. Actually making it happen and having to deal with our very human errors, not as much fun. That's more stressful side of it, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah. I think so. Like just a little bit about me, right? So I primarily come from PoE, Path of Exile, and that's my main game. And we do the same thing over there. We plan a lot, we prep, we do all sorts of things, and then when like the new season comes, we're just like, oh, okay, let's do this, let's figure some stuff out and have fun with it. But there's a lot of planning, and I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like the player base and even like the community is similar in both games.
absolutely. It's the communal aspect really is special. And that's what's so fantastic about these limited time events is they do bring everyone out of the woodworks. Everyone wants to participate and get involved, see what they can do, and it creates a real strong sense of community in a game that is mostly solo play.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe PoE is very similar. I know Diablo was similar in the past when I played it. It's a multiplayer game, but it's really everyone doing their own thing in this world. And this is one of those few times where we all come together and work on a common goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. One things that is a little different in Path of
Mhm.
Exile is there's like trade in terms of leagues. Like the most, like in Path of Exile, the primarily like main player base plays with trade, so then they can have access to items faster and whatnot. But
Mhm.
the one thing in OSRS that I like is most of the people actually play Iron Man or SSF in PoE terms, which is very, very unique. But at the end of the day, we have raids in OSRS where you can do a lot of group play and a lot of group play content, which I really enjoy because I don't get that a lot in PoE.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and they've been embracing that even more with even outside of raids, you have bosses like the Royal Titans over in Asgarnia. You have Yama that's in Zaya. They've been introducing a lot of duo bosses for small scale teams to be able to jump into. And of course, they make this content available solo. You can solo everything in this game,
Yeah.
but it's more fun. Like you can tell the entire design is around a duo, and it's just really enjoyable that they've embraced that.
hmm Yeah, I think my major thing is like I wouldn't say like I'm like an expert in this game, right? I still consider myself almost like a noob, even though I try to go for dragon. And last time I did get dragon, and I'm going for that this season as well. I still come in with, very little information because I only play leagues. So every time I
Mhm.
come back, every year or so, even Gridmaster, for example, I get to try out new content. And to me, that's super fun, super exciting because, taking back to PoE, like I play PoE a lot, and for most of the things, it's sort of like solved. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I know exactly what my power spikes are. You kind of talked about the pack system and how people are planning like these 40-point builds and stuff like that. And I'm always like looking at these videos online or even in like the Discord about like maxed out builds, and I'm just wondering like, what are you gonna do early on, like when you when you're like level 1 and you don't have so many points to work with? Like, how are you gonna do some of these bosses? Because I don't know the power spike. I just have to kind of wing
Mm.
it and figure things out. And although that is fun, it might be a trap for a bunch of other players.
Yeah, it's the one thing I worry about. I'm very happy that they introduced Respecs this year because in past years, of course, you made your choice. You were stuck with it through for the league.
Yep.
And for the most part, your choices, you couldn't really go wrong. And this time you truly can't either, but there is the capability of creating a build that's just a little more powerful versus, okay, I'm doing 5 to 6 times the damage I could do main game type more powerful.
Yeah.
So having the option of being like, okay, this was a mistake. Let me rework it. Or, all right, I'm really just stuck. Let me consult the community and see what I can do. Having that is fantastic.
Yeah, let me ask you about the respec
Yeah.
actually. What do you think about just having only 3 respecs? Do you think that's a few, or is that good enough? Like, how are you looking at that?
I think it's a pretty healthy amount in that it's limited enough where your choice still matters,
Mm-hmm.
where there's weight behind the button. You're not just being like, "Oh, let me click anything, see how it works. Oh, I didn't like that. Let me roll it." You actually have to put the thought into it beforehand. Be like, "Do I want to play this? Is this going to be fun? Is this going to create enjoyable experience? And is this going to perform?" But at the same time, it does allow room for errors, and
Mm-hmm.
at least in the point capping, we're probably going to be maximizing on the specs with. I'm thinking three
Okay.
early game, respec into our mid game. That's gonna be for bossing and raids, and then respec at the end for AoE cleanup, and that's where the silliness really kicks in. Things like Din's door build and whatnot would be available at that point to just walk in a room and blow up the entire room.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool, cool. I guess we could just go into the point cap discussion. And the way I did episode 1 with my first guest was I kind of just walked through his region choices, his relics, and kind of like the plan. And along that discussion, I try to focus on like his play style, like Static's play style. He was going for more fun, etc. So I guess what we can do is we could just walk through the regions, walk through the relics, and then I'll ask you about how this benefits sort of like point capping, etc., and then lead to the other discussions as well. Like you talked about respecking to a different build and things like that. How does
Yeah,
that sound?
absolutely. Sounds good.
Okay, so let's start with like first tell me about like what do you look at in terms of regions when you get into point capping.
Gotcha. So I'm actually going to start on a different bit and work into that. Uh,
Sure.
when we do this, we look through relics first, figuring
Okay.
out which relics work, what skills are covered, which ones aren't. And then from there, we get an idea of where we have weak points. And we really look at skill or at regions to benefit those. This time is very different
Mm-hmm.
because usually we started Michelin. Michelin didn't honestly have a lot going for it. It's one of those very starter region. You can do a little bit of everything. Nothing's great there. Varlamore is kind of stacked to the point that we didn't exactly hurt for a way to do any skill there. The worst we had was Slayer and runecrafting early, and those are solved through pretty much every other region combo.
Yeah.
But from there, we didn't have to worry as much with the relic choices on that matter. We could make them work just about anywhere. And from there, we just started looking at time to complete each region and whether they brought anything to the table. And so the regions we settled on were, uh, I say we, I should say I have settled on because it's still in contention. People are just debating,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm looking at Kandarin, Turinwin, and Zaya.
Okay.
Uh,
Kandarin,
and
Tyrwin, and Zaya. Gotcha.
mhm. And that would be part of its synergy with the relics. Kandarin is absolutely amazing. First, it's a very short region. There's not a lot of content there in terms of bossing. There's Thermi and Kraken.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. So you're not going to be spending a ton of time on PVM, and there's not a lot of skilling activities that are massive. You're not going to be cutting 500 redwoods or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that just keeps the region very limited in scope of what can be added there. So we know it's a fast region to complete. And that's kind of the goal, is to choose your raid regions and then two fast regions that meet all the criteria needed while still uh sorry, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But looking into it though, with Kandarin brings to the table barbarian fishing, which is our most efficient fishing method. It's the fastest experience and it gives us passive agility, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
It brings clues, which is a big one, because when conniving clues was announced, we thought that was a hard lock, and we realized we can go without it because there are heroes, there are paladins, there are gnomes in Kandarin that you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
thieve mediums hard deletes from, and suddenly that opened up relic options.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and not only is it fast, but it also enables other play. Tyrion is very much the same. There's only really CG and Zora there as bosses,
Yep.
but there's also just a lot of nice skilling there. Whether it's the red chins up north, that's a relatively fast task that overlaps with Hunter. There is the crafting and smithing method, which is its main attraction,
Mm-hmm.
where through thieving or through absurd amounts of gold, you can instantly level crafting and smithing to 50 mil
Yep.
without spending time. And that's like a 20 to 30 hour time save.
Right, right. Okay, yeah.
So these are, oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead if you're finishing.
Oh, I was just going to say they're very compact regions that bring a lot to the table. And so they were our first picks. And from there, we just kind of built out.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna reel back just a little bit. So, I heard certain things that you were saying, and you're talking about like fast regions. So,
Mhm,
whenever I thought about point capping, I didn't really think about like speed to complete. I always thought
mhm,
about like what is gonna give the maximum points, right? Um, and
mhm.
that was like the only thing I considered. So what are like other things that you considered? So you talked about relics, you talked about like fast regions. What are like
Mhm.
some other things, like small things that you know some people might not think about when point capping?
Absolutely. So, like you were mentioning, points used to be the main concern
Mm-hmm.
because regions were not created equal.
Yeah.
In the past, you had to have certain combinations to be able to cap. I think last time it was Mauritania, Tyrannwin, and Wilderness, and I had Mauritania, Tyrannwin, and Firmenich.
Mm-hmm.
And because Firmenich didn't have as many points as Wilderness, I was literally hard locked out of capping from the get go.
Right.
But that's not a thing anymore. The main things we have to watch out for are, there are certain requirements, which are you have to have a raid region,
Mm-hmm.
and your combinations of regions have to be able to do 30 speed task, 250 um, CAs. They have to be able to meet elite CAs,
Mm-hmm.
so up to a certain number of points. I don't have that on top of my head. Sorry. I think it's close to 1100 CA points total. And you have to be able to get 750 collection log slots there.
Right.
And the less collection log slots, the harder it is because a lot of those are in clues. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just kind of a gotcha system. So we really wanted to prioritize regions that have like 850 plus collection logs. So there's lots of leeway there. We're not stuck running clues for 24 hours beyond everything else being done, which is a major consideration because one region combination, for example, Desert Tier 1 Firmenich, had a very similar time to complete, if not a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you start factoring in clues and the fact that there's only 757 reasonable collection log slots there,
Mm-hmm.
it gets really limited to where you may be doing 300, 400 easies to get those last few slots.
Yeah.
And that's just not realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think last year when I was going for Dragon, I just saw like a point goal and I was just looking at these are like fun regions that I like. How am I gonna get to Dragon? And when I was going through, I was trying to figure out how to get these points and looking at like what I could actually do. And I never thought about like collection logs, like CAs. Um, and some of the CAs are difficult, like I said, I don't have the most experience with the game, so some of these CAs is like the first time I'm trying them out. For example, like God War. So last time I went as Garnia,
Mhm.
and I believe it was like Bandos or something where you have to take like no damage and I think beat
Right.
Grotto like two in a row, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm gonna do this,
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That's just straight up a knowledge check. Like you have to kill Grardor twice without taking any damage from his minions, which really means you either get lucky or you weaken them so much that as soon as he spawns, you kill one off, you pray against one, kite one, and then repeat the cycle in the opposite way when the next one spawns. But that's not something someone new to the game or even someone with moderate experience will know.
yeah,
And so having spare CAs is also nice because some of
yeah,
that really is just ridiculous.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and like a couple other things too that are um things that I just couldn't do. Um, like one of my hardest tasks, probably the most memorable, was Zuck last time.
Mhm,
It took me, I think, somewhere around like 7 or 8 tries to
mhm.
actually do Zuck for the first time. And, I had like some relic choices that didn't help me for the first time. Yeah, I went Spec Relic and Last Recall, so I didn't have Banker's Note. I didn't have
Oh gosh, yeah, I know
Last
that pain.
Stand. So I had to like learn the mechanics, and that's very yeah, like it's very difficult to
Yeah.
do when you you just have to kind of figure it out. There's no there's like guides for it, and I've been like I
Mhm,
was using them, but uh, it's just something that you either do it or you don't after like a bunch of
mhm.
tries. And um yeah, things like that. And like the 6 jads, like I just couldn't straight up do 6 jads. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's it called, like player flicking well enough to
Mm,
handle 6 at a time. Like uh so there's like when I look at point capping, I look at like people who have very high knowledge, and they also need to have pretty good mechanics in order to get these combat achievements, some of these challenges done, um, that are like pretty hard. Like even Zuck challenges, right? Those are difficult
mhm.
too.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a little brutal because one of the CAs for Zuck is to clear the Inferno 15 times, so you wanna get to the point that you're really comfortable in just being able to run it over and over quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that, and honestly, the Jad challenge is one of the hardest, and the special challenge that comes after it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you at all for getting stuck on that. That is completely reasonable. It's one that most people, even experienced players, get stuck on and have to try dozens of times to actually succeed at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Okay, yeah, let's kind of dive deeper
Mhm.
into the relics, and sort of we could start with just tier 1. So we have your region choices with Zaya, Terranwin, and Kandarin. Is that right?
Yep.
And then yeah, so how does your tier 1s align with your region?
Right. So for capping, so this is where cupping and capping are very different. For
Mhm.
trying to get to the cup, you don't have to even do 99 in all skills. You don't have to do 50 mil, much less in them.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily need these giga gatherers. Abundance is a very valid choice if you want to go for cup because you get a lot of gold, you get these skills ahead of time, you get a lot of access to points. For us, though, we do have to push through that. And so that really only left Barbarian Gathering or Endless Harvest on the table. And there was lots of discussion on this. The numbers are slightly in favor of Gathering for experience,
Mm,
especially with us taking Zaya,
okay.
where we have Redwoods and whatnot. But ultimately, it comes out in favor of Endless Harvest just because to point cap is about 3 weeks to do it efficiently, or longer if you're doing just a general point cap.
Mm-hmm.
And 30 minutes every night adds up to a lot. That's over 10 hours of AFK time right there. Plus, everyone just, we can't do degenerate life that much. Like, we
Yeah.
got to cook, we got to eat, we got to sleep, we got to go see some sun. And being able to be like, okay, I'm going to set my character to just cutting and walk away, and being efficient makes Endless Harvest just so powerful.
Yeah.
And it's not that much worse than Barbarian Gathering, which is the real thing. It's like you don't feel bad going AFK because you know that you're still gathering at either competitive rates or near competitive.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
So really, for Relic One, it was just no choice. It was just endless for sure for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes sense. I think endless is just very strong in general, um, and just like you said, just having something to do that lets you AFK, walk away, take breaks is just very, very necessary. Honestly, when you're thinking about
Mhm.
3 weeks, you can't skip out on sleep for 3 weeks straight. Maybe you could do it like a day or two, but you're gonna feel fatigue. You have other life
Mhm.
responsibilities. So totally
Yeah.
makes sense. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say I was able to take a week off of work, and that's really pushing it. Having that's still 2 weeks at work, I'm gonna have at least 90 to 100 hours AFK this league. So
yep,
it really being able to optimize that time and make the most out of it is nice.
yep. So also, I guess for point capping, you also think about getting 50 mil XP, right? When you look at these relics.
Hmm.
Okay. So yeah, out of all of them, seems like Endless Harvest is one of like the easiest ones to get 50 mil XP in. Um,
Yeah, Tier One was one of those when they were first introduced. It was exciting, and all of them are interesting in their own way. But we very quickly settled on Endless Harvest and have not looked back since.
okay. So now I feel like let's talk about tier 2. This is more interesting, at least to me when I look at it,
Mhm.
because some of these skills are kind of difficult to train. And some of them, when I was thinking about, I still haven't figured out what I want to do, whether I want to try to do like Dragon Rush or just play normally to Dragon. And
Mhm.
I look at agility, I look at herb lore. Um, what do you think about these skills, and what do you think about tier 2 in general?
Absolutely. Tier two is so stacked, it's ridiculous. For capping, we did rule out Woodsman pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic relic. The seeds are amazing, and it's actually one of the concerns we have with some regions is a good seed acquisition uh, for the trees at the very least to get that 50 mil farming.
Mm-hmm.
But the hunter effect just isn't impactful to us that much. Hunter's already a very fast skill, so doubling up on that, it saves the least amount of time out of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Fletching is zero time for us. We buy broad bolt tips and we fletch them while doing other activities, while running around between boss kills. Even during raids, we'll just be in the corner fletching away in any kind of downtime.
Yep.
So it didn't bring a lot to the table in that way for us. So we very quickly ruled that one out, and we were stuck between Friendly Forager and Hotfoot. Of the
Mm-hmm.
two, Friendly Forager is the most powerful of the three, and we were really wanting to make it work. Uh, and other relic choices down the road just made this not an option for us in the end, which sucks because we love this relic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the fact that it makes secondaries infinite, it cannot be overstated. That means you get one Aldarium from Mixology, and you have endless goading potions. You get endless surge potions after a Yama kill.
Yeah.
You get endless prayer regeneration. It's really strong with that. And then, of course, just the herbs, you can target farm herbs by letting your sack get full, which means you can create the top tier potion and it instantly one ticks the entire inventory of potions, so it's the fastest production.
Mm-hmm.
It saves. So let me just quickly talk about other tiers with this. There's three herb relics. There is Butler's Bell,
Mm-hmm.
Nature's Accord, and then Friendly Forager that can all do herb lore.
Right.
It saves 4 hours over the other two because you aren't having to deal with creating the potions. Really, you can
Yeah.
just one tick them in the bank real quick. Uh, so we really, really wanted it, and it just
Mm-hmm.
worked out where we could. And that
Right.
left us with Hot Foot because agility is a nightmare for 50 mil. You're talking
Right.
30 hours in the optimal region, in the
Yeah.
other region, 50 hours. So saving time on that is huge. And we've worked the math where you get about 35 million agility from Hotfoot over the entire league.
Oh wow. Okay.
Uh, so it's not 50 mil, but it gets us up there. Then Barbarian Fishing will get us close to 5 mil more. We're going to be
Mm.
doing a bit of Karambwan fishing to get 50 mil cooking first because this gives us the cooking as well, which is quite nice.
Right. Right.
So we do 13 million experience at Karambwans, get 50 mil, then go over to Barbarian for like 4 mil agility about. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Hotfoot gets us most of the way there. And then it also halves the laps, which in Kandarin, doing laps over at Ape Atoll is one of the tasks. And so having the number that you have to do total is nice. And it has a 2.8x multiplier essentially on actual agility
Mm.
courses because it gives the 200% on completion, marks spawn 33% of the time. If you hit a mark, it instantly warps you to the beginning of the lap with that completion. Plus, it is just proccing the running on top of that. So it's really powerful for that. So if you do have to do actual agility, you go from getting like 1 mil an hour to 2.8 mil an hour. It
Mm-hmm.
makes that last little bit that you have to do really fast. So we
Yeah.
have to have an agility relic, and that was pretty much the only one.
Yeah, yeah, totally makes sense. Even so I also made like a short little plan video yesterday just talking about sort of like an easy way to get dragon, and my main goal with that strategy was maxing just because it's consistent. You don't have to do anything crazy like some of the CAs and things like that. Um, and one of my biggest concerns was always getting 99 agility. Um, Not even 50 mil, which is like what you're concerned with, just simply getting 99 and just, you know, I just remember, last time we had the underwater agility with dodgy deals, and
Mhm.
even that I was like kind of annoyed with, but it was like fast XP, so I was doing it. But the league previous, I was just like, I think it was Corner Cutter, I believe, or
Mhm.
I forgot the name of the relic, but even with that, I think it was Trickster. I think it was just called Trickster, right? That gave agility and like the thieving. Um, but even then, like I was just like, this is like the worst thing ever to get 99 agility. So I could only imagine 50 mil XP in um, honestly my probably least favorite skill in the game. Um,
Most of the community would agree with you. I personally actually like agility, but in leagues, there's just no place for it.
right, right. Also, you brought up something with Friendly
Mhm.
Forager. Being someone new to Varlamore, can you talk a little bit about mastering mixology? So I've been looking into this, and you talked about some of the potions, and I haven't seen this conversation a lot because I believe one of them is like a spec potion. Um,
Right.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and I there's no spec relic that we know of yet. Maybe the final T8 might be spec relic, but
Mhm.
some of these potions look very very powerful. Do you have like some of the use cases you were talking about, since you did consider this a relic as well?
Right. So from Mixology specifically, you can get Aldarium, which lets you make prayer regeneration potions, which they just regenerate one prayer every X ticks. There's a certain amount. I can't quite remember off the top of my head,
Mm-hmm.
but it's enough that you will never run out of prayer if you have that plus some prayer gear, which it's really shaping up that we're going to have lots of prayer bonus in any kind of style.
Yeah.
Um, so that would let you have infinite prayer pretty much. And goading potions is literally just a taunt button that goes off every so many ticks. I think it's like every 15 ticks. It will aggro everything around you. So it lets you do bursting and AFK Slayer and things like that. It's really just comfortable. It's an AoE taunt to grab everything around you.
Mm-hmm.
But also with Mixology, you can just grab expert potion packs with extra points, which lets you get a mix of potions. You may get anti-fires and super combats and things like that in there. Just really useful ones through the leagues if you don't want to craft them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at all that, we're also doing it because it is mandatory task and it's herbal experience.
Of course,
But
yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, those are the main two. And then the spec one I mentioned comes actually from Yama. He drops, oh goodness, I can't remember the resource. Oh, demonic tallow. That's what it is,
Okay.
and it's used to create a spec potion. It's called a surge potion, and it gives you back 25% of your spec every 5 minutes. You can take a sip, so
Mm.
it's just a little bit on top. But that plus some of the demonic packs, which say the one that lets you not use spec 20% of the time, and then every hit gives you back 2% spec.
Yeah.
It add up to a lot. Like it's one of those combination things that just give you so much over the run. So it's quite powerful in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, without Friendly Forager, we are going to be very limited on that. We will not have unlimited amounts to use whenever we want and be silly with.
Right, right. So you do need a combination of Zaya with Varlamore to get that spec potion.
No, Varlamore doesn't come into play with the spec potion. At least, sorry, I grouped the three together as
Okay, okay.
special potions, but that one's Isaiah specific.
Okay, I see, I see. Okay, cool, cool. So yeah, I guess agility is, or hot foot is the primary choice here. Um, let's move on to tier 3. What do you think about tier 3, since this is kind of like the teleport tier? There's they added some new unique teleports, but what's your general thoughts on this?
The teleport tier.
Yeah.
Um, there's not too much to say on this one. It's a little bit underwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
There's utility in all of them. Bank Heist is just not in consideration for most. I
Right.
was honestly surprised it came back because it has the least utility of them.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, it can be nice. Like you can look at what is close to the banks, of course, for teleporting. But both the Evil Eye and Map of Alacrity have teleports right beside fairy rings as well as banks. So you have quick banking, you have access to the fairy ring network, which spans the whole map. So all of your regions make great use of that.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are close to a spirit tree for a couple of those teleports. They just open up the map more.
Right.
Alacrity, very region dependent. To be fair, Evil Eye is as well. Like if you take Mauritania, you want Evil Eye.
Mm-hmm.
If only for Barrows being able to warp up top and bottom. But there's so many bosses in Mauritania that it's worth it. Zaya, Varlamore, and sorry, I don't know why I said Varlamore. That's our starting region.
Yeah, yeah.
Zaya, Chandra, and Tyrionwin don't have that many bosses really. At least not surface level bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't prioritize Evil Eye as much. Also, most of these bosses you're gonna be able to go to once, stay for 200 kills or 300 kills, and be done with for the league. You
Mm-hmm.
won't be doing a lot of trips to these. It'll be one and done shops. So for us, it just settled on Alacrity. We're not excited about it necessarily, but
Yeah.
we're always happy to have teleport utility. It's just one of those basic functions. It's like might as well be part of the league, just like Infinite Run is.
Right, right. Yeah, I think when they first revealed Evil Eye, it was very interesting because um it kind of gave us a little bit of like last recall, not completely total
Mhm.
recall, but it was like the last recall feeling where you just teleport back, your stats aren't changed, etc., but you could teleport to somewhere else to kind of regain your stats, whether it's your house or
Mhm.
maybe like desert diary, elite diary statue, and then come back. But it
Oh, yeah.
seems it seems like there aren't too many use cases of sort of like spec dumping, like we had last league, which is like what I ended up doing a lot with Total Recall. Uh, it seems like most of the builds don't really rely on spec too much or just restoring too much. It's kind of like built in. There's so much like lifesteal and regen built into the demonic packs that I don't know if Evil Eye is good anymore.
Yeah, it's very dependent on the builds. Like melee would still make pretty good use of it,
Okay.
and a big thing is you can combine it with the T8 relic, the flask for renewing that flask. So you just teleport in, spec, hit the flask for 177 damage, plus recharge your
Mm-hmm.
spec, boss is dead. Pretty much anything in game is dead from that, and then
Yeah.
you just teleport out, teleport back with Evil Eye, do it again. So
Mm-hmm.
there's still that utility. It's just different builds. This time, the late game builds at least seem more magic beneficial than melee beneficial, and so people are less excited about Evil Eye and the spec utility because magic really doesn't have much in the way of specs. We
Right.
have defense reduction. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes sense. This yeah, it's not too much to talk about here just because they
Yeah.
kind of all seem kind of okay. Like sure, we'll take it. Um and then yeah, I'm surprised they brought back Bank Heist. Like it's like nice to get around, but yeah, the
It's
point you
too
brought up,
little.
yeah, the point, yeah, it's just like you just need one bank most of the time. Like
Mhm.
that's pretty much it. Um, is there anything you would have loved to see here? Like, would you like if there was a either like a returning teleport or like a new teleport? Like, what would you have loved to see here?
So we knew it was impossible from the next tier, but oh man, having the clue compass back
All
would have
right.
been so exciting for us. That thing had so much utility. It was easily the community's favorite,
Yeah.
which makes sense that they brought it back in a combined and nerfed fashion to a degree because it was too strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Actually, yeah, let's just go on to the next tiers. You know, speaking of clues, they did reveal conniving clues early, and pretty much every single person was looking at this because everyone knows if you played leagues how important clues are. And whenever a relic is in the clue tier, basically, um, you have to consider it. But this time around, they gave us very unique other relic choices in tier 4. I feel like there are a lot of different things to talk about here. Like, what are your first thoughts on this tier?
Oh yeah, they threw us a curveball in the last few days with the other tier fours. I'm gonna say off the bat, tier four, tier five is just too stacked.
Yep,
To the point we have been still considering: is there a way to get two of these at once?
yep.
Is this the one where we would consider reloaded?
Mm-hmm.
If we do it, and so I'll start with conniving clues. Like you said, clue relics are a staple. They are an immediate consideration, and I did say that the clue compass was nerfed here because it's only 1 out of 3 instead of every single time.
Right.
But this clue overall is much stronger because it is still the combined effects of the other two. Treasure Arbiter, where clues always have minimum number of steps, give maximum number of rewards. If
Mm-hmm.
you are in a region like the DTF region, this is almost a must have. This
Yeah.
solves clue acquisition, so you don't need to worry about thieving them. You don't have to have that staple region for that. You don't have to have another source for clues.
Mm-hmm.
This just prints them through endless gathering.
Yeah.
And if you are hurting on collection log slots, this guarantees the maximum rewards for the minimum effort, lets you go through those clues faster. So in a low collection log region, this is really powerful.
Yep.
That's also why we went with a heavier collection log region so we could get away from this, just because the other two were so powerful,
I
which is a
see.
little wild to say.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
that's a very interesting point. You know, I didn't think about that. You know, picking more collection heavy regions to like get away from relics.
yeah, it's just Transmutation and Butler's Bell. These two are they overcooked with these. These are ridiculously good.
Yep.
Baldur's Gate is unassuming at first, but because it is essentially Pocket Kingdom from before brought back, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't require GP, and you gain the passive experience. And so this is one that I went heavy on doing calcs with because we were looking at this versus transmutation and what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a valid herbal solve? Because this is one of the three we considered for it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is ultimately the one we did settle on. Uh,
Okay.
we found that let me see if I can pull up the calcs real quick. It might take a little too long. I'll just go off of memory.
No, you
For
can. I could talk a little bit about
sure,
this while you do that.
go for it.
So Yeah, like in my video yesterday when I talked about like easy way to get dragon, tier 2 we had to pick agility just to, make our life easier, right? And
Hmm.
because of that we didn't get friendly forager, and so I was thinking about how to get 99 herb lore. And there's two other option, which is Nature's Accord and of course Butler's Spell. And I just saw
Hmm.
Butler's Spell just helping out quite a bit, not only for herb lore but also construction. And those are like my primary things to kind of help me get those skills to 99 fairly easily. And not only that, uh,
Hmm.
the other skills like just like crafting and I would say smithing, it still makes a difference for the early levels, which not a lot of people think about. But you're not going to be smithing with bronze bars till like 70, or whatever, based on specific regions. There are still those mid tiers that kind of need to think about to make things or make your journey easier.
Oh, 100%. You just touched on a note that I was communicating earlier in Point Cap. I think that the play with Butler's Bell is to start on smithing to get the 70 over the first day and then switch to Herblore.
Mm-hmm.
But the calculations came to 8 million experience a week passive, not touching the skill at all, just
Mm-hmm.
from Butler running. That's at tier 8 or tier 7. So that is at 16x. So you won't have that the first week fully.
Yeah.
But once you get to tier 7, you pretty much don't have to do Herblore at all this league. If you want 99, you leave that running a week and a half, you got it.
Yep.
You could do that through multiple skills even. You could get the smithing, you get the Herblore, all those up there just by enabling it and logging in to collect every day. Because
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time we have ever had an offline skill. This is a full-on idol. Like this is this
Yeah.
league in general is the dad worker's best friend
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
options for just make gains while you're working, while you're living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we love it for that.
It's just such a nice skill. It's just I forgot like what type of games those are where it's just like you're doing dailies and you have to like log
Mhm.
in to like collect the dailies. But with this, you don't even have to like log in. That's like the most annoying part about doing those games is just doing dailies. But it's like you could even talk about like farm runs and RuneScapes. Like you have to log in, do your farm runs to just keep up with
Mhm.
daily herb lore, etc. But this is just too strong to pass on. I feel like,
Yeah.
especially if you are going for a point cap, you just want to not have to think about doing too much. You could like focus on something else and just let things happen passively.
Yeah. And a point to bring up is it's giving you unfinished potions, which is a step up from Nature's Accord, where you're getting the herbs and you still have to go buy the vials of water and spend a couple hours just putting herbs in the potions, not getting any experience, literally just doing the processing step.
Yep.
This gives that, which is out of this world. Like we were looking at it, and over the 3 week period, we can just set it and collect only the irrit leaves, which you can use a buyable resource, the Eyes of Newt, buy in packs. So you can just do one shot, buy everything you need,
Mm-hmm.
combine those. And that's enough to get us 50 mil because you get 10.5 million experience every week in irrits
Yep.
on top of the 18 passive. So
Yeah.
18.5 mil, 3 weeks, that's 54 mil. You have a little bit of leeway because there's also the Mixology and other sources we're considering, but it was just too powerful. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is our herblore solve. Since we can't do Friendly Forager, which is essentially this, but one tick processing as well and infinite potions, this was our silver medal.
Right.
And it finishes fast enough that we do get a few of the other benefits. Like we can do day one smithing, we can do some planks to help us with construction.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. Like it just solves a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I feel like it's very balanced and it's also very strong for skills that are kind of annoying to like jumpstart,
Mhm.
with like construction and like herb lore. And then once you get to like that mid tier, from like raids and other bosses, they do drop quite a bit of herbs, but you still have to finish them. From my experience, I did get a ton of herbs from the wilderness bosses because I had to do a lot of KC
Mhm.
on all of them. and they gave a ton of herbs. But also last time I did have the farming relic, so it was auto harvesting a bunch of herbs. And even then, along with desert, I had I forgot the NPC, but the NPC like converts the herbs to
Yeah,
potions or unfinished potions.
Bernardo. I forgot his name as well, but I know what you're talking about. The one for 200 GP, you convert all of your
Yeah.
herbs and vials into an unfinished potion state.
Yeah, so even with that, I remember doing that, and I remember it was like a slow process. Like even just to get to 99. Um
Hmm.
so having something for herblore passively is super strong, and you just don't have to touch herblore for a little while, and if you need
Mm.
something, you can go in and take it out of the butler, right? Otherwise, hey, it's becoming 99 on its own. Like that's perfect.
Yep.
um
And the last one, just real quick to touch on transmute. I don't want to
yeah, yeah.
take too long. I know I'm being a little wordy with these. Uh, transmute just it's powerful because it guarantees we'll be cutting teaks for experience, for
Mhm.
example, because that is the most efficient XP per hour with wood cutting and the eternal harvest. Teaks kind of suck if you have to use them for fire making. They're not that
Mhm.
great. If you can convert those into redwoods, you go from 4 million fire making experience an hour to over 10 million.
Mhm.
Uh, if you were to take Mauritania, there's a task to kill shades for Shades of Morden, and Redwood Logs lets you finish that task in an hour. If you're using magic logs, it's 6 to 7 hours.
Mm.
Uh, it just lets you skip a lot of those. It lets you get all dragon stones if you were to do jewel crafting via jewel cutting. You just have the best tier. That it solves seeds any region because you can buy basic seeds and they'll upgrade into the top tier herb seeds or tree
Mhm.
seeds, and so on and so on. Like it's just one of those universal solves that's just nice for any region.
Mhm.
We really wanted to make it work, and unfortunately, just for capping at least, it was not on the cards.
Right, right. Would you have considered it if, for example, you went Mortania instead of Zaya?
Yeah, we were trying to make the math work earlier today on that, and it's still a consideration because you do have to do fire making lines there.
Mhm.
Uh, Construction, being able to use all mahogany planks instead of teak planks speeds it up. Getting the seeds again is a concern because that is time taken to either farm bosses or farm content that produces the seeds.
Mhm.
It saves on all that, but ultimately it's sacrificing 30 hour save here, 30 hour save there, one of them to take it, and it just barely did not fit in. It was very close.
Yeah.
And for cupping, I would say it's one of the top tier easily.
Transmutation, that is.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um
Mhm.
yeah, there's just a lot of use cases, there's a lot to talk about this in terms of like even like rushing. Um since I've been in the rushing chat a lot, and
Mhm.
just thinking about like the different use cases is very very cool. um I like at first glance this relic is kind of, I don't know, it just seems like weird because it's just helping you with items, but a lot of the times in leagues, a lot of the items are like tasks, especially like crafting, like everything that you see here, they kind of add up, or they point towards a task, like
Mhm.
black d'hide, plant some sort of seed, check on a tree, uh, like bury bones in a specific location, like use it on like gilded altars, like so many
Mhm.
different things. So there's a lot of use cases that probably we won't even know until we actually get the task list and maybe even look at it in hindsight.
Yeah, I do think that this will save a lot of time on point gathering on, like you said, the general miscellaneous task, which are a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think rushers will take this relic. I'm not as familiar with what they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it for a while because I was considering whether I wanted to rush or cap at the start, and I
Yeah.
really saw it landed on the capping side, but I was interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they would take this because it just solves so much, and even things like prayer, you supercharge that by having superior dragon bones to use on wilderness altar,
Yeah.
things like that, instead of any lower tier, and so you can do 50 mil prayer in no time with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of just options.
All right. Yeah. Speaking on prayer, we could just kind of move on to the next
Yeah.
tier. We got a couple of options for prayer here as well, along with couple other stacked relics. We have Nature's Accord, Larcenous, and Soul Harvest. What do you think about these?
I like to call tier 5 the pet tier because
Okay.
these are the 3 skills that you are considering for the pet task if you're going for capping.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
'Cause one of the things we had to do this time is get 100 mil in the skill and 200 mil. So 100 mil is just a milestone along the way. But really, that's a sidestep because we've always had to do that to get a pet, unless you get incredibly lucky because pet rates are not boosted. So
Mm-hmm.
the best way is to get to 200 mil, get the 15 times rate on a pet, and then for thieving, it becomes a sub 1 hour to get the pet. Nature's Accord, you could do the same thing with farming. You could get farming to 200 mil in under 5 hours using Tithe Farm.
Mm-hmm.
It was really strong for
Yeah, yeah.
farming, but ultimately farming, like, it was a more of an herb solve than it was a farming solve because it gave the 10x on harvest,
Right.
but it just came out to be the weakest of the 3 herb solves, and the other 2 are so powerful that this one got eliminated pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things we were considering was just do Tithe Farm to 200 mil, then you just plant trees and special crops, and you will get your pet in 2 to 3 days on average.
Right.
That's free. It's just very idle, no real time spent on it beyond the initial investment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I'll skip over that one since that's pretty self-explanatory on that.
Yeah.
Uh, to Larcenist, which is our baby boy, and we have a hard time letting go of Larcenist.
Yeah,
Dodgy
yeah.
deals, Larcenist, whatever you want to call it. Thieving relics are strong
Right.
because thieving has always been historically the way to get 200 mil and get a pet.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that is because it skips the principle of the 200 mil grind. Uh, Really, these skills are balanced on time to take to get a pet, and it's like 36 hours average. And even with the 15x, it's still a bit of time investment because it goes from a 1/200,000 rate when cutting trees to what, 1 in 15,000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This stalls are notoriously fast because in main game when you thief from a stall, there's cooldown until the stall restocks.
Yeah.
This is no, that's not existent. You
Yeah.
can steal from a stall 3,000 times an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So that means at 15x rate, you go from 136k to 1 in 3k, or less than that, rather, 1 2k, and you get a pet in an hour. And so we really wanted to take this. We looked into it. We've done the math on it. You go tier and win, you steal from the elves to get the shards. It gives you 50 million crafting and smithing in under an hour of actually using it. Takes 4 hours of thieving to hit 50 mil thieving and get 50 mil in those skills. That's really hard to beat because that's 2,400 points right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Even from a rushing perspective, that's strong.
Yeah.
But we'll carry on to 200 mil. And at 200 million, we've gained 250 million GP, which lets us buy the Crystal Crown for 400 points. We hit the 100 mil task, the 200 mil task,
Mm-hmm.
and we get the pet. And that's in about 12 more hours. So it's like 16 hours total invested,
Right.
or a bit less if you do it at 16x. But it's really hard to beat that. And the big selling point is that's all AFK time.
Yeah.
Again, AFK time has premium value because that is effectively zero time if you have enough AFK time.
Mm-hmm.
If you have too much AFK content to where it's running into your active time, that's when it really starts to hurt. And you either have to be very sweaty and start tick manipulating with trees and whatnot, or you just sit there and watch your character play the game,
Yeah.
which isn't the most fun in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a balance with everyone, but
Mm-hmm.
it's there. And yeah, so we were looking at that as a principal way because it's just so strong for generating shards in Tyrion Wind. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of the selling points of Tyrion Wind is 3 skills for 1 that are done in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that one became a must-have. But then they really hit us with the curveball with Soul Harvest
Mm-hmm.
because Soul Harvest, by the time you get 50 million farming, you have 50 million rune crafting and 50 million prayer without touching the skills.
Yeah.
Completely passive. You can train them up in under an hour at their respective altars. And 50 million farming is pretty free through just trees. You just do tree runs as you get the seeds, you'll get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
so that became also a must have because there is not a single other rune crafting solve on the table, which blew our minds that they did only one because almost every skill has 2, 3 different options. Like I've talked about with agility and the other ones. Agility, you could have done the barbarian gathering as an
Mm-hmm.
option. There's different solves for most, but this time runecrafting, they're like, take soul harvest or raw dog that,
Yeah.
and no one wants to do that.
Yeah.
Agility and runecrafting are tied for the most hated skills in the game.
Yes. I
So
100% agree with that.
so it became either like soul harvest became we had to have this, and larcenous became we really want this. Uh, and so if we reload, it is to larcenous. And there's still some debate. Some people are talking flow state and reloaded, and we can talk about it when we get to the tier 7. But
Yeah.
just both of them are out of this world.
Yeah, you talked about this being like a pet tier, and I actually had a silly question. I
Yeah.
actually, so like in the previous leagues, I know that the pets carry over. So if I got a thieving
Mhm.
pet, would I get another thieving pet in this league?
You would get it for the task. It would just say you had a funny feeling you would have been followed.
I see.
So you
Okay.
wouldn't get a unique one or a new one in your collection log. It'll show 2 Rockies, but it would just be one unique pet. And that's
Okay.
also
Okay.
some of the temptation to look at getting Groot through Nature's Accord or through Soul Harvest getting the Rift Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, 50 million farming is runecrafting and prayer. So if you
Mm-hmm.
do just runecrafting, that's 100 million runecrafting. So you do 100 mil farming, which again is it's not zero time, but it's very low time. It's like 4 hours realistically of gameplay to get there.
Yeah.
Getting the seeds is the hard part of that. But you do that, you'll hit 200 million, and once again, you make about the same GP as Larcenous. The only difference is it's 4 hours active and interrupting your gameplay versus 12 hours AFK.
Yeah. So what was the XP calculation again? So if you got 50 million farming, you would get 50 million both prayer and runecrafting.
Yep, because you get I think it's like 780,000 shards was what it came to, and that's pretty much perfect to get just over 50 million in each,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That makes
or
sense.
100 million in one. So
Yeah.
it's really just strong for what it is.
Yeah.
It just becomes the seed source is rough if you don't have transmute, and that was also part of the consideration of really wanting transmute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like runecraft, I would have it like right behind agility as one of the more annoying skills to train. Um, like I said last time, I didn't have Banker's Note, and the second grind that I was always like annoyed by was
Mhm.
runecrafting because I had total recall and I was teleporting like instantly back and forth between like running to the altars and stuff, and it was still super painful. And to think about
Yep.
doing that to 50 mil is just like not possible without Banker's Note. And they said they're not bringing back Banker's Note, and I feel like they sort of reworked Banker's Note into a bunch of these skills. And
Yes.
I think this is a pretty good idea for rune crafting specifically.
Yeah, we were theory crafting a bunch of different options they could have. They could either have like a banker's note where you're paying for. So initially, before they revealed the butler, we were thinking it was going to be demonic butler, where you pay 100 GP every time you have to node or unnode items.
Mm,
Have like a GP cost to tie to it, because we don't really have the golden god this time either. We don't
yep.
have infinite GP. It is a finite resource we have to manage. Uh, so we thought it might be something like that, but this was an interesting take on it, and I'm curious what they're going to do in future leagues, because there always has to be a solve. They don't ever tell you, oh, well, that skill's just going to suck. Have fun.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
always give you some tool. So I'm curious what they'll do in the future. But for now, Soul Harvest was a must-have.
Yeah, especially for like the harder skills to train, right? They have to have
Mhm.
some sort of solve. Otherwise, people are going to be like annoyed, right? Like they're just going to be frustrated trying to go for the max or Dragon Cups, things like that.
Yeah, because realistically, who wants to do the main game activity in leagues? You want to be able to do a unique approach, and that's part of the excitement of leagues. Is
Mm-hmm.
you're playing the game in a novel way. You're not just doing the same grind you would be doing with your main character. You're doing this either super powered or through teleports that you normally wouldn't have, or through this other new means. And that's exciting.
Yep.
And I'm glad that they found a way to do this in a way that does not destroy every skill and make just the imbalance of, all right, we take this and rework everything else to make this work type relic.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's one of my main reasons for playing leagues, just having this power, um, having interesting ways to interact with skills that I normally wouldn't enjoy. Especially like some of my friends, if I'm like, hey, we should go try out this league, and they're like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. I know I've done this before. I'm not trying to grind it out. Um,
Mhm.
uh, it's like I did this in the main game. I don't want to do this ever again. So with these cool like relics, like when I tell them about it, they're like, okay, I might consider it. I might just spin up like my alt account and kind of play on the side. Um, so it's pretty cool
That's
to
all we
have
get.
these. Yeah.
You start playing on the side, and you're like, "Oh, this is a lot of fun. Oh, the
Yeah.
dopamine. I must play more."
Of course, yeah. That's the thing. It's like what ends up happening is like as the leagues get closer, some of my like IRL friends, they switch from playing the main game to having the main game on like the side and then playing their alt characters like crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're planning on taking Soul Harvest first
Um,
or Larcenous first?
yeah, I'll go ahead and say with the tier 7, we did settle on Reloaded, or most did, and we take Larcenist and then reload into Soul Harvest.
Okay.
Just because you don't really want to do the heavy skilling grinds until you have the tier 7 for the 16 XP rate,
Okay,
and Soul
okay.
Harvest pairs very nicely with that. So we really won't be touching farming, or we do minimal amount of skilling, as little as possible, getting up to T7.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. We could talk more when we get to Reloaded.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next tier. I don't even know what to call this tier. There's still one more relic to be revealed.
Mhm.
What do you think about this tier? The Grimoire and the Culling Spray.
Yeah, and we do know the final relic is going to be a defensive option. That so we have
Oh, right.
offensive,
Yeah.
we have utility, and we have defensive. Essentially, like the combat adjustments is, I guess, what you call tier 6.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this one, it's not bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
also not overwhelming. Like, this was not anything everyone's hooping, hollering, excited about.
Yeah.
Culling spree is nice because you can, with the 10x, or with the points, you get essentially 2.5 Slayer task skips per task done. So even without this, you can, to a degree, choose your task, but bossing tasks are kind of off the table. It's rare to hit it one. Uh, with this, you can absolutely say, every single boss I'm going to do is on task. I'm going to get 15 Infernos all on task in one go.
Mm-hmm.
It saves a lot of time skipping on adjusting Slayer. Also, the second half, where the boss rate is reduced, or the superior Slayer rate is reduced to 1 in 25 instead of 150, saves a lot of time grinding for the mega rare Slayer items, which
Yep.
are the Imbued Heart and Eternal Gem.
Yep.
Um, Goodness knows, last time I think I had 80 or 90 million Slayer getting those.
Wow.
So knowing that there could be very little time, you can pretty much zero time Slayer because of Culling Spree.
Mm-hmm.
Without this, you may actually have to AFK Slayer and farm it out, because you're just not going to be able to skip to, okay, I'm going to go send Zora. Zora's on task. Okay, I'm going to go to Doom. Actually, I don't know if Doom can be on task.
Yes.
The other ones can, though. You can do Moons on task. You can do Barrows on task. You can do any region, almost everything overworld. The only thing you can't do is raids.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't impact that anymore. It's not as strong as in the past, which, to be fair, in the past was a bug. It was not intended to work that way, but everyone was expecting that to be the thing going forward, where it's just always on task, no matter what, if it's a task or not.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But it's strong in the sense that it saves a lot of time on Slayer. It saves a lot of time on Inferno and Fight Caves, because you can do every single one of them on task beyond
Mm-hmm.
the first clear. Uh, it's just a general nice quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And the elites are also nice, because it means you don't have to go and the paladins at 22 clues an hour. You get all the clues you need passively through Slayer. So
Yeah.
it's a couple hours save there.
Yeah.
The other two, defensive, we don't know enough about to say, but generally we do shy away from defensive, at least in the concept of capping, because it's just, leagues are already so long.
Yeah.
Anything that can make it faster, we want. Defensive explicitly does not do that. It can let you survive content. It's one of those, if you're less experienced with the game, defensive can be really enticing,
Mm-hmm.
because it can let you do some content that just otherwise is straight up out of your capability or out of your experience. And even if you're a player that can learn it in time, you don't want to spend 10, 12 hours learning content on leagues. You want to go in and do the content you know and zoom through it, or hit content you don't know and be powerful enough to steamroll it anyways.
Yeah. Uh,
So defensive can be really good for the casual crowd or the newer crowd, or even rushers might consider it. I'm not sure on that. A grimoire is the weirdest one,
mm-hmm.
because I say every relic, there's no such thing as a bad relic. It's just the relic is not suited for you. It's not designed towards you if you don't like it necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time speaking on grimoire because of that. Like, it has capabilities, especially this time where ancient magics are really powerful because they count as basic elements thanks to demonic pacts.
Mm-hmm.
So you get those 60, 80, 100% weakness on top of AoE bursting. You can blast through Slayer and
Yeah.
general PM. Like, that's unchecked power we have not had before. So there's enticement there. I think it's just from an efficiency standpoint, Grimoire is kind of out the window. But
Mm-hmm.
for a fun standpoint, Grimoire is probably the go-to choice.
Yeah. 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 I
Again,
agree.
the defensive is just such a big question mark. We can't speak too much on it yet.
Yeah, I think especially with your regions too, like you get the prayer from Zaya, from from Cox, and
Mhm.
you don't really need ancients. Um, like I did a ton of Cox in Gridmaster actually. That's like one of my first times doing Cox, and I ended up doing like a bunch of solo runs, doing like I even did like some carries for people just because it was just like so much fun, and I just really love that raid. And for the most part, you don't really need ancients. I think I was using just like Earth Surge or something like that, because I think
Yeah.
Ohm has a
Chambers are.
Earth
Oh,
weakness,
sorry.
right?
Yeah, Ohm has Earth weakness and Dragon weakness, which is also very nice because we have Dragon Hunter wand this time from Varlamore,
Oh,
which
right.
with Mage build should absolutely annihilate Ohm. But yeah, Chambers of Zarek was designed explicitly not to use ancients. One that
Mm-hmm.
does is Mortania. You may want it there, at least one person to have it
Mm-hmm.
for or yeah, for the Nilos and for the Maiden fight in Theater of Blood. That
Yeah.
raid has a lot of use cases for it and a lot of value in it.
Mm-hmm.
And just in general, any kind of AoE bursting magic is the go-to with that. So you're giving up that option. Like, there's a lot of trade-off, but at least for us, it was just a non-choice. But for a lot of others, or if you don't have a region that has all this, like you said, we have Kandrin and Zaya that covers Piety, the top Augury,
Mm-hmm.
Augury and Rigor. It gives us Arceus Soloc as well. If you had none of that, Grimoire is really enticing. It gives
Yeah.
you a lot of options and tools that you just don't have in your wheelhouse. It's just, again, not in the capper's desire.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Also, with Mortinia, they actually, with the new Echo items, we'll talk about that later, but the new staff looks pretty strong for the Nyla's room too, because it does typeless damage. So that's
Mhm.
that's another sort of like help slash solve if a bunch of people, have that staff, they could just clear Nyla rooms pretty quickly. Um,
Yeah, they've gone heavy on the type list this time, which is quite nice because, like you said, it does solve these rooms that otherwise you have to have three specialized people. You have to have a major, you have to have your meleeer and your ranger.
mhm.
And doing it solo, as I've done all of one solo TOB last league and hated it
Yeah.
because it's just so tedious. It helps a lot with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I it was well, I haven't done solo TOB in leagues, but in Gridmaster, Gridmaster is a little bit different just because I think we just had too much power, right? Uh
Yeah, Gridmaster is unlimited power meant to be played for a day or two. It was an
yeah,
interesting experience.
but it was like fun doing solo. I remember I got to like I was just like, okay, I know I'm strong, so I'm just gonna yellow it, right? Just for the experience, just for like the fun of it. Like no guides, just let me just run into it, see what happens. And I remember getting to Verzik, and I didn't have what was it? I think you need like a poison dagger or something.
Mhm. Oh, no, that's so painful, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like I did, I didn't even. I had the wiki up, and I'm like scanning on the side and trying not to die, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm missing here. Like, what do I need for this?
Oh, my dude, everyone's made that mistake. Entry mode TOB is a quest now, and so everyone's gone through and hit that and been like, "Wait, what?
Yeah,
I had to redo the whole thing because I forgot a poison dagger.
yeah.
This is BS."
I figured, like, I found like a way to solve it. I remember it just took me like 20, 30 minutes. I just can't. I couldn't remember what I did. Oh, I remember now. I had the sunlight spear. So
Mhm.
I was like building up stacks to just use my spec to take out the purple spider or whatever. Um
Yeah,
and it was an experience. Um
yeah,
but yeah, just to kind of like finish up talking about this tier,
yeah.
yeah, Culling Spree, I think, it's pretty solid. Just a nice Slayer solve, and then also getting elite clue scrolls, and superiors. Usually, superiors are some sort of task, and of course, their drop table is very important for the imbued heart and whatnot. I've actually never gotten the imbued heart, just because I never had the Slayer relic, or even if I did have the Slayer relic, I never grinded enough to get it. So it is, when you talk about point camping, it's a very important thing, um, to just kind of make sure like some of those like uh, points are taken care of. That might be a very, very like a long grind to do.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, let's move on to tier 7. We could talk about these two separately. Let's just talk about flow state first. What do you think about flow state?
Flow state is interesting because this kind of plays into the same argument of Endless Harvest versus Barbarian Gathering, where
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian Gathering is a little more efficient, but it is all active time. Flow state's very much in the same. It makes your AF well, it boosts your gathering skills like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're not tick manipulating, it doubles your wood cutting. It gives you 2.5 times your fishing. Mining is the smallest increase because you're going from 3 tick to, or 2.75 if you had crystal pickaxe to 2 tick. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like a 33% increase, 33 to 50. Uh, It's substantial. Uh, but the problem is that's all your AFK time. You're suddenly taking all your AFK time away. I think we calculated it to 33 hours of AFK time you save.
Oh,
And
okay. From flow
that would
state?
be, yeah.
Okay.
So that's powerful.
That is, yeah.
But the problem is if you take that, what do you give up?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Of
you give up
course.
at least that much time in active time somewhere else, and most people want the AFK time over active time.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the best we found was giving up Soul Harvest actually in Zaya and using Map of Alacrity to teleport between the altars, and that was before we actually heard that the Incessance is not fed up by it, so I don't even think that solves works anymore.
Right.
So it just worked out to where, for us, for going point capping, it speeds all those skills up and it's fantastic, but it just reloaded, solved something that was more important, and we can't give up 25 hours active to solve 33 hours AFK.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, it makes total sense, right? Like flow state is such a cool relic, and I want to pick it so badly just to experience doing all of that, especially with maybe like endless harvest or something like that, just to like just come back after doing like a workout or something and just seeing like, wow, like I'm already like maxed in everything, and then also all the different things like fletching, smithing, crafting, just those active playtimes whenever
Mm,
you have them like sped up, and like especially if you like do it a little bit during leagues and then you get this relic and then it double times them basically, it just feels super fun and powerful. Like it's kind of like production prodigy, or
mhm.
production master, where you just clean out your entire inventory just for one ticking everything. It's just
Yeah,
so satisfying.
I agree. It's the fun relic. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the look at numbers go big relic, which for a lot of people is what leagues is all about. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's a fantastic relic.
Yeah.
It was just, once again, they really cooked this league where there were so many hard choices of this is amazing, which can we live without rather than which do we want.
Yeah, yeah. Makes total sense, but I'm guessing reload is just too strong just because we have 6 tiers to pick from. And
Yeah.
what is the one that you're going for with reload?
Yeah. And so this is where it comes back to that tier 5. We couldn't give up between Larcenist and Soul Harvest, so we said, we'll just take both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. It's something that I also plan for, in my video. It's just like, hey, you get Larcenist, and then if you have Turnwin, it's just like a no-brainer, 50 mil, just free points. And then same thing if you reload into Soul Harvest, it's free points, and not only that, it's solving, rune crafting, which is a very, very annoying skill. And if your goal is to max to get, another set of free points, um, it just makes sense to take Soul Harvest.
Yeah, absolutely. And at one point, I forgot to mention when I was talking about Larcenist, because I was talking about how it's really good in T. I mentioned this at the very start with the regions, but Kandarin has the gnomes, the heroes, and
Yep.
the paladins.
Mm-hmm.
Those are clue sources. You can steal from them and get, at least from the gnomes and the heroes, it's like 80 plus clues an hour. Paladins are the slowest. I might have paladins heroes mixed up. I apologize if so. The
Yeah,
ones that
yeah,
give the, it's like 26 an hour.
yeah.
But still, that means like 3 hours with Zaya to be done with clue gathering.
Mm-hmm.
Without Zaya, you're going to need at least 200 elites, and that's a way to secure it without having the conniving clues.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, you're absolutely banking on Culling Spree. Like, you have to have Culling Spree or Larcenist, really. If you don't have both of the or either of those, sorry, I should say you have to have Conniving, Larcenist, or Culling Spree. If you're missing all three of those, you're gonna have a really rough time in leagues with the clues.
Yeah. Yeah, and clues are always, they're always points. I know Husky did mention that he reduced the amount of clue tasks, but even then, it's, if you're specifically point capping, it doesn't matter. You just have to do them. And then if
We
you
also
are,
don't know if he truly did reduce them because he the numbers he sped out, he said like from 175, but they were 75 last time. 100
yeah,
was like 2 leagues ago or something like that. And so we don't know if he was just remembering that or if he did reduce it down to 50 or if it's only gone down to 70. We
yep,
don't know what's changed to. So that's one of those we just have to wait and see, but it is very impactful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also just, if you're just going for dragon too, you just have to do at least a few of these. Like it's kind of like almost necessary to have to do clues. Um,
Yeah. They're pretty quick and they're easy points. So having a good acquisition method is important.
yeah, it's actually not too bad if you have to do only a couple, right? Like if you could spend like an hour out of your grind to just kind of do a set of clues and then come back do some later, it's not too bad. And I think
Mhm.
it's going to be okay without Clue Compass. I know Clue Compass was so powerful that uh, it just made you want to do clues, right? Like I was like, that was like the first time where I was like, hey, I'm about to do all of these easy clues. Like I'm about to save all my caskets, open everything up, and it's gonna be super fun. Uh, I don't think I'm gonna ever have that feeling again.
But really, the clues aren't that bad without it. Like most of them are accessible within, you teleport 15 seconds to get to a clue step. Like it's not too bad.
Hmm.
And as long as you're doing, even if you do the total task limit without going for the extra clogs, but you do 75 easy, 75 mediums,
Hmm.
it's not going to take you but an hour or two to get them done. So it's nice to have those sources coming in
Yep.
and more time on hards, elites, and stuff. But you can always, if you're going for dragon, just say I'm not gonna do those, or you do like 20 of them and get all the, you need one unique, 5 uniques, 10 uniques, all those tasks, and it just
Yeah.
prints a
Yeah.
couple hundred or 1,000 points real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, it's definitely nice early on. Or like I would say like around like tier 3, tier 4, when you were just kind of pushing tiers and or task completions when you're trying to get like your third region unlocked. That's when like clues you could see are very impactful, where you can chain a bunch of tasks together.
Hmm.
Um, Also, yeah, were you considering anything else when you were looking at Reloaded? Because Soul Harvest was announced what, a few days ago on Tuesday. Um,
Hmm.
Before that, you had a plenty of time to look at it, and were you considering anything else with Reloaded or?
For that, we were hard set on reloading to Friendly Forager,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, initially the plan was Friendly Forward or Hotfoot, reload to Friendly Forager,
Mm-hmm.
take up Conniving Clues, and just have Clues be living on Easy Street.
Yep.
And those plans all went out the window as they announced more. We
Yeah.
knew they would. We were comfortable with it, but it was still one of those like, well, there goes our favorite Herbal Relic.
Yep. Yep. And there goes clues, right? um,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the final tier. We still have one more to go in terms of a relic reveal in the final tier. But what do you think about these two relics?
Yeah, the missing one we believe is either going to be a spec one or going to be an executioner style one where
Right.
bosses under X HP you insta kill it with your
Mm-hmm.
hit. Uh, but I'll just talk about the two that are there because we actually have finite stuff on that.
Okay.
This is very much a pick your poison or just entirely subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Minion, so the DPS doesn't matter, is the first thing I'm going to say. And
Okay.
that's very controversial
Right.
because
Yeah.
people feel like Minion is more DPS. And it is. It is consistently more DPS than Flask.
Mm-hmm.
When you're pumping out 30 to 40 DPS, adding 6 more on is just win more. You've
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
solved the bosses. You're going to steamroll it. You're not going to have a challenge. This is not going to make a fight easier. It might make it a second or two faster.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, realistically, on bossing is waiting on the next boss to spawn.
Yeah.
So I don't think Minions are impactful there. What Minions really amazing about is the quality of life it brings with auto. Uh, Luke, kitty cat, please stop. I'm so sorry. My cat started using Patrick in the background. um, yeah, the auto loot that's a quality of life that is amazing
Mm-hmm.
because some of these bosses looting takes longer than killing
Yeah. Yeah.
and doing the general slayer and whatnot. And you want to like a lot of this we don't need the loot. Most of the stuff we solved without looking at even the boss tables, but you do still want the passive gold from some bosses. And so there's a lot of value in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm personally leaning more towards Flask though.
Okay.
I know most others are leaning towards Minion, which is why I mentioned that. So my choice is
I
the
see.
controversial one here. Uh, but I just don't see that much we're looting this time personally. Like, we don't need loot from Huey Kodo unless it's uniques. We don't need loot from Zora unless it's uniques. The
Mm-hmm.
logs are nice. We'd like to get more logs, but it's not important. It's not make or break. We'd be
Mm-hmm.
fine leaving all the bossing loot on the ground, and Doom loot is straight to the bank.
Yeah.
Rating straight to the bank. Moon straight to the bank. Like a lot of our sources this time aren't looting; they go straight into your bank.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do want those resources, it changes nothing. So
Yeah.
I think that it's like it's a quality of life, and I'd love to have it, but I don't think it's the end all be all to where I'd sacrifice other quality for it.
Yeah.
And having a permanent ambrosia on you is really nice for just things go sideways.
Yeah. I agree.
And it also the burst potential, like yes, minion is more sustained damage, but burst cannot be understated in how or overstated in how valuable it is.
Mm-hmm.
Say weekend bosses, you hit that final stage where things just go crazy.
Yeah.
The fight's popping off, the enemy is suddenly hitting 90s that they hit you, like Vardorvis.
Mm-hmm.
Attacks are coming every 4 ticks that you're constantly reacting to. Being able to one take a hit and then instantly just say, okay, I'm back to full, I'm immune, I have time to recover. Because we do have so much life steal this time where in those 2.4 seconds in those 4 ticks, you can get back up to 160 health plus.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's a very much a safety net in that sense. But it's also, okay, boss is going crazy, spec, flask, spec, boss
Yep.
is dead. Just
Yeah.
do 600 damage on the spot. If it worked on Yama, it would be a hard require, I feel, because phase skipping is important on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and just talking a little bit about it, I think you probably got some experience with it with Gridmaster, but
Mhm.
those that are phased are the bane of our existence because it doesn't matter how much DPS you do, you hit that hard point and the boss changes cycle and you can't damage it and you're just stuck waiting. And so animations and all that add up to a lot of time.
Mhm.
And so any boss or any encounter where if you can do enough damage to just straight skip that cycle, that is invaluable. You
Right.
can easily double your kills per hour by skipping one phase on a boss type
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, even without Flask doing damage to Yama, just having a restore, if you like either like misplay or just want to get that burst damage from your spec, it's just very powerful. Um yeah, like I still haven't figured out which one I want to take because I do love the spec style. Like
Mhm.
referring back to like PoE, it's similar where we call it like culling DPS, which is when the boss gets to like 10%, 20% threshold, they're always doing something. And
Mhm.
there's a mechanic called cull, which allows you to pretty much like insta kill something at 10%. And then there are a couple other choices that kind of could increase that to 20%. So even though you might have like slower top end DPS, if your culling DPS is very high, it makes a lot of the boss fights just like easier. So that's
Mm.
something that I also think about when I look at this flask, just for the low end burst damage. Because last league I had the ZCB with the spec relic, and
Mhm.
that was like top end DPS, right? Like, because you're using
Yeah.
your ruby bolts to kind of hit high health enemies and then chip them down, but then the ruby bolts aren't doing much as it's going like lower and lower HP. So you have to find a way to deal with that. And with this, it's kind of kind of strong. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, and a thing that can't be ignored is we do have the capability of reducing the cooldown. So the higher your
yeah.
hits go and the more rapid you're able to hit, like one of the major considerations this time is powered stave build where your stave is a Gatling turret.
Yeah.
It fires every single tick, 30 plus damage.
Mm-hmm.
That will very quickly reduce the cooldown to where this is about 1 minute cooldown. You don't even have to worry about ever eating, ever drinking prayer. You just have infinite of those by restoring every time on a minute, as long as you can live that minute.
Mm-hmm.
So there are offensive capabilities for that restore as well.
Yeah.
But again, it does come down to the minion is still more DPS. So anything that has a high health pool, the minion is going to be more impactful,
Right.
and it's just hard to say.
Yeah.
I'm still torn myself, but I am leaning towards flasks just for the potential and for the fun factor. I do think that there's more fun in just having something blow up than versus, all
Agreed.
right, little buddy, you sit in the corner and just increase my damage.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Um, yeah, like whenever I think about some of the things that I did last time, I just think about how like some of these tier eights could have helped me. Like minion, of course, just having more DPS is just gonna make things, just like all the end game KCs like go a lot faster. Like I'm thinking like Corp, for example, like it's kind of
Hmm.
annoying to do 250 KC of Corp. Um, so I'm thinking like, okay, what do I think is better? Do I think Minion is better, or do I think Flask is better? Um, if I use Evil Eye, like how like it'll be like an active playstyle, but I don't mind when I'm fighting certain bosses and where I could do a bunch of different active things where I'm like teleporting, resetting, and like trying to use the flask. Um, but I'm just thinking like, what are my spec options? Uh, like, what are you thinking in terms of like flask? Like, what spec weapons are you thinking of to
Yeah, and so
utilize?
this hits a point where this is why I'm reconsidering to a degree because honestly, specs are a little harder to use. But ideally some kind of range spec would be fantastic because you can get max hit on crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
But my regions don't have there. I gotta look into the options really.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going melee, I would take this without a doubt
Mm-hmm.
because, for example, my early build, I'm looking at doing a Crystal Halberd early build because I have Kandrin and Tyrannwyn. Those
Yep.
combinations, like the diary, get the Crystal Halberd. That weapon is as strong as the Noxious Halberd, but also has a spec to hit twice, on
Mm-hmm.
especially on enemies, and you can just melt 90% of the content of the game with that. Get
Okay.
that and Crystal, and I'm set. And then having that plus a spec is just go in, doot, doot, doot. If my spec, the 20% reduction or 20% chance to not use didn't proc, or I don't have enough to spec again,
Mm-hmm.
just pop flask, melt it, melt it, and go back to just specking things down rapid fire.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
lot with that. I was looking at it. I'm getting with the specs as long as you have it up. Uh, Crystal Halberd is about 40 DPS that is accessible maybe 7 hours into League combat.
Yeah. That's pretty insane.
Which is
Um,
yeah,
even like thinking back last leagues, I planned on going spec like super early, and I planned on going wilderness super early as well. And then my main thing was focus on getting Void Waker. And I was like, oh yeah, like Void Waker specking. I know this thing is very strong. I think it's gonna be super fun. And then of course, when they release a Thunder Kopesh, it was like it was,
oh
you
gosh.
know, like it just put the Void Waker and everything else to the bin, right? Like Kopesh was
Yeah,
just absurd. um
yeah. I would have been mad if they brought Kopish back. It's just it's too powerful for what it was.
yeah, so I'm thinking now, like, okay, maybe, I'm not gonna have the power of the Kopesh, but I still have Void Waker that I could potentially use in different places. um and then I'll also have access to the Crystal Halley. Um, so that, along with Tyrannwyn, that's like my plan as well. So maybe Flask, like it's this tier is actually something that I just hoping, I don't know, like the
Hoping that
final.
final relic solves
Yeah,
it for you.
yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I fully understand.
But yeah, you said it was gonna maybe be like Spec Relic, and I'm just like, really? Do you think they would double up on Spec sort of with
See,
Flask?
I don't know. I don't think that they would. I think the flask is technically a spec relic.
Yeah.
Others disagree, and
Okay.
that's why I mention it. Because some do think they're still going to be a spec, but I think that they've done a good job of taking relics from last time, saying, "All right, we're combining these into this. We're making nerf versions of these, but they are combined, so
Mm-hmm.
overall it's more powerful. But you don't get the full utility. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a last stand without the death immunity. You have to actively choose to proc it, but that's still a full restore, and then it's also the spec built in. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably going to be an executioner style thing where it's just enemy is below HP and you insta kill it. We'll see though.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, like that was pretty cool. I am gonna bring up Gecko's tool. Um
Sure.
have you used this tool? Um it's just like
Uh,
a league planner. It's, pretty straightforward.
yeah, I was using it for a while. I've gone through a couple of the tools. Is that just the leaguesplanner.com one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I looked at that a bit. Uh, I used it to do initial planning. I've switched over a lot to using, let me see if I can find in the resources real quick. Sorry. Neurotox tools.
Okay.
Uh, it does similar functions, but I'm aware of it at the very least. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. I just want to use it as like a visual reference to kind
Sure.
of overlook, um, like your choices. So I'm assuming you're going Kandarin first and then Tyrannwyn?
KTW in that order, or sorry, KTZ in that order. I think KTW is yours, possibly.
Yeah, KTZ. So Kandarin, Tyrannwyn, and then Zaya.
Mhm.
Then you're going Endless Harvest for your tier 1, Hotfoot, Map of Alacrity, Butler's Bell. And you said you're going Larcenous first, right? Tier 5?
Yep.
and then Culling Spree for the time being, Soul Harvest Reloaded, and then potentially Flask.
Yep.
Um, so let's take a look. You have a bunch of things that look solved. Um, let's just kind of talk about some of these other skills that
Sure.
are not greenlit, just to kind of give a summary of like how you plan on solving them. Um,
Absolutely.
so let's just talk with like the easiest one, like fletching, I guess. Like you're just gonna, I'm assuming, just broad fletching whenever you can.
Yeah, it's I believe it came to 57 million GP that we had to set aside. So that's one of the GP concerns we have is
Mm-hmm.
it's like 330 million we need total, but that's going to be for just buy the broad bolt tips and buy a bunch of feathers, and just anytime we have downtime, be doing that while we're running around between bosses, things like that.
Right. Okay, makes sense. Let's move on to herb lore.
Right. So Herblore will be that butler spell kicking in. We'll
Mm-hmm.
get the 8 million experience passive every week through it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we will be crafting 10.5 million experience worth in the Irrits, so 18.5 a week. Should be about 2 weeks of that, which is 37 million. And then we do the Mixology, which is, I think we're estimating about 5 million experience from doing the Mixology grinds that are necessary.
Right.
And we'll just be grinding up various herbs that we've gotten from butlers because it gives a bunch of other herbs that we just don't want to bother getting the secondaries for.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so that will leave just a little bit more. So it's 2 weeks and change. I think it's like 16 or 17 days of letting that run, and we'll have enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about farming.
Sure. Farming, we are looking at, so you have to do some Veil Totems for fletching. It
Mm-hmm.
overlaps with that to a degree, but we do Veil Totems to get the green log there as task, and that'll give some seeds because it gives just straight up seeds and it gives bird nests with seeds.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting some from there. Um, we're doing a bunch of farming contracts at the farming guild
Makes
just because
sense. Yeah.
50 minimum are required. We have Hespori, which we can farm on cooldown because it's Echo. We won't really do that. That'd be a last resort just because it's time spent. Uh,
Yeah, how does
we'll
that work again?
So Hespori, because it's an Echo boss,
Mm-hmm.
and because Hespori is a seed you plant to grow,
Mm-hmm.
they made that one kill count guaranteed to get the Echo item.
Mm-hmm.
Because for Echoes, you get the Echo item, and that lets you do the Echo version.
Yeah.
But Hespori, so one kill count guarantees it, and then with the Echo item, you would not get the harvesting experience, so you don't get the 13k times your multiplier, but you
Oh,
do get
okay,
the
okay.
seeds still. So you can farm the
I see.
bucket quickly. You can farm all the Addis and Eazor and Chronos seeds you need and all
Yeah.
that, and tree seeds off of it.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was just making sure because I
Yeah.
was thinking, wait, hold up. Can you get experience from just just
No,
farming his story?
I wish. I
Uh
wish. I wish there was some way of using the extra Spore Seeds main game because I think I have like 200 of them at this point.
yeah, that would have made Zaya like super strong. Like with, you wouldn't even have to get a farming relic. Like that'd be a
Yeah,
cool way to
exactly.
reuse the boss mechanics and like fight him again. Um,
Yeah, but that then CG will give us a bunch of weapon seeds, the basic tier ones, and we'll just turn those into crystal acorns
oh,
to do
okay,
crystal
yeah.
trees. So we have that, and then just a few of the Celestris and redwoods through the contracts again. So there's a lot of various sources. It's going to be an active skill. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
3 days of active farming for 50 mil.
Okay.
Um,
Once you have
and
like
so
somewhat of
realistically,
seeds.
yeah, realistically, it's going to be about 12 days of doing it periodically because no one wants to be like, it's been hour, 20 minutes. Let's go do a tree run. They'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, it's been 3 hours. Everything's off cooldown. We run it. It's been 4 hours. Let's go run it real quick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then that's gonna tie in with your soul harvesting as well, and get those shards for prayer and rune crafting. Um,
Mm,
and then let's talk about a hunter.
sure. Hunter is the one skill we are just, well, farming is technically, but we have a lot
Yeah.
of benefits with the others. But Hunter, we are just straight up raw dogging it.
Yep.
Oh, there are benefits though, because with Kendra and Picked, and because there's just so few regions, it limits the Hunter rumor assignments enough that you
Mm-hmm.
can block all but two. And by doing that, we get down to either doing dark Kevits and dashing Kevits or red Chinchompas and dashing Kevits.
Mm.
And we found that Kevits, it's a 1 in 8.5 chance to complete your Hunter Rumor, with the 10 being the hard cap. So they're very quick tasks. You can do like 60 Hunter Rumors an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It comes to about, let's see, 60, k over 5 million XP per hour.
Okay. All right.
So 10 hours of just Hunter Rumors running Kevits. We will do red chins task as needed. I think it's 500 red chins as a task in Tyrion Win,
Oh
or it
yeah,
was in the
yeah.
past, I
In the
should say. So
past,
we'll
yeah,
do
yeah.
those tasks first and then switch over to just running
Mm-hmm.
Kevits until we hit it. It's going to be tedious and boring, but it's not that bad. It's
Mm.
again only 10 hours, so we can stomach that.
Yeah, yeah. And then construction.
Yep. So construction is one of the major reasons we actually considered Endless Harvest so heavily over Barbarian Gathering,
Mm-hmm.
because you have, even if you can cut redwoods for 5 million experience an hour, that doesn't help if you have to have planks.
Right.
And Butler could do planks instead, but the passive this is a weird one. Getting planks from Butler gets fletching XP. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why. I don't know if the devs know why, but that's what it's set.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the passive XP would be pointless. And we need the Herblore more than planks. So realistically, cutting the teaks are going to double for that. We're going to turn all of our teaks into planks, and it's almost a 1-to-1 with wood cutting. We'll have
Mm-hmm.
a few extra teaks, but realistically, we're going to use up every single one we cut from wood cutting, turn into those, and just run them through. I think it's like 90 experience per plank average.
So
And we'll get Butler through Kandarin, so it's not too bad. It's like 700k base experience per hour, so it gets
mm-hmm.
really up there. It's 5 or 6 hours of construction. Nothing too bad.
Yeah. So are you planning on doing mahogany homes? Because I know in Zaya they have those, and I don't know if that's still available. Um.
Uh, so they are available,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, but they're not really worth the time to do.
Okay.
So you could do, like, mahogany homes are done to conserve planks. You use less planks for way more experience per plank,
I see.
but your XP rates go way in the bin from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of trade off. It's very similar to Mixology in the same sense. Mixology is the same thing with Herblore, where you get like up to 3 times experience per herb, but your rate is less than half the XP per hour.
Mm. It's just time
So
consuming.
yeah, exactly. You're trading raw resource saving for more time spent.
Mm-hmm.
And this, where we're already doing, I think it's about 330 hours is what we calculated to do full cap.
Mm-hmm.
Any excess time is just like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
already killing ourselves doing that in 3 weeks.
Um. Okay, and then magic is red logged here. Um. Actually,
I
had
don't.
a second question with this. What is the skill that you're planning on getting 200 mil with? And then, talk to me about like magic. How do you plan on training magic?
Yeah, so Magic's mainly red logged because this is why I've leaned a little away from the site. There's some parts that are still broken. Like it says we don't
Right.
get Lunar Spellbook. You do
Mm-hmm.
though. Through Kandarin, once you get your Mage Cape, you can Spellbook swap over because it has the Firmament Quest auto completed.
Mm-hmm.
We do actually have access to that, which is how we're going to get our Charge Glory for mining, which we can get to if you want on the AFK methods. Gem
Right.
mining is the way we do the mining.
Yeah.
So we will get 99 magic before we touch mining, do our Mage Cape Spellbook swap over to Lunars, enchant our Glory, and then use that to go mine for absurd rates.
Mm.
For this, it's usually just you're casting on random things
Yeah.
initially,
Yeah.
do a little bit of cast, get your magic up, and then once it's rolling, you're good to go. Through Kandarin, we're going to get the Trident of the Swamp, and we will be doing Powered Stave build at least for a while. I don't know if it's going to be our final build or not. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, it seems powerful. But that's going to be magic is really our primary style choice for mid and late.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um. Actually, you talked about the magic cape. Is that spellbook swap like once a day, or are you talking about the actual skill? I'm trying to remember. like
It
spellbook
is
swap?
5 times a day.
5 times a day. Okay, so you plan on swapping to lunar spellbook, and then staying on it to do a bunch of charge glories, or like maybe a few, and then swapping back, or is it? Can you only cast one spell when you swap?
Uh, so this is actually something I'm not super familiar with.
Yeah,
I do have 99 magic. I've just never bothered getting the cape.
yeah.
Um, Let me look it up so I'm giving proper information on it.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Because I know about spellbook swap, but I actually never thought about how
Yeah.
long. Um, uh, I just remember there's like a spell, I believe in Lunar, that gave you spellbook swap, and when you did that, it was like you could only do it once, and then it swaps back to Lunar. But I don't remember the interaction with the magic cape, um, and swapping spell
Right.
books.
And so this is the thing with the magic cape, it just full swaps the spell book
Okay.
up to 5 times a day. And the spell, just like you said, you swap to another one, cast one spell, swap back.
Okay.
So it's
So
a little more utility, but at the same time, it is like you have to make sure you're going to be staying on that for a while, which realistically, we're just going to be on standard spellbook most of the time.
yeah, yeah,
We'll swap to leaders, do any utility we need, whether that's plank making or that. I don't think we'll do much plank making really, but uh,
oh
regardless,
yeah.
we'll use it for whatever we need, and then we would just swap back to standard.
I guess would this allow you to get ancients too? But you would need like the
No.
quest complete, right?
Right. You have to,
Gotcha.
for the spellbook swap to give access to any spells or utility, you have to actually have access to that already. So it would just have ancients grayed out or not accessible.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Mhm.
Um, and then yeah, what skills are you planning on getting to 200 mil with for your non-combat?
Right. So this one I'm torn between the rune crafting and the thieving.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to push the rune crafting, but knowing my AFK time, I think thieving's probably more viable. And
Right.
also, I I think the rune crafting's a little ambitious. I don't think I'll be on that on top of farming. I'll get annoyed with having to stop and do the tree runs to where once I get 50 mil farming, I'm probably just gonna be done with it. So I
Right.
think I'll just do thieving, 12 hours additional to go from 50 mil to 200 mil, 1 hour a stall, and call it a day with that.
Mm-hmm.
And for combats, it's probably gonna be magic since I think that's gonna be our main style.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always hard to say with that. Most combats are pretty passive. Like when you're doing 100 raids, it doesn't seem like that much, but it really builds up because we do have that 1.5x multiplier on all combat. So it
Yeah.
goes so much faster. Getting 24x rates on combat, you will hit 99 in those in no time and going above and beyond. But I do expect it to be magic at least since that is our primary. Because you
Yeah.
do have to do a combat one and a skilling one.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that seems like a pretty good plan for your routing in terms of skilling, in terms of, like combat, like you said, with magic. Let's talk about the packs, or we could talk about the echo weapons. So which one do you want to talk about first?
Up to you. I think
Uh,
that they go a little hand in hand. So
yeah. I guess we could look at the echo weapons because they're like um that was released today, and we don't have to look at too many of them, since based on your regions you only have like four basically. um yeah, so based
yeah.
on what you saw with the reveal today with the echo rewards, what stands out to you? What do you think about your echo weapons for your region?
Oh man. So th- first off, I'm gonna say that I don't think range is too strong this time,
Okay.
which is surprising. Range has historically been the pick range, don't look at anything else, just go next. If you wanted to be efficient, you wanted to be
Right.
the meta. Like I had buyer's regret with melee last time because I just saw everyone with the 100% accuracy running around blowing everything up at
Yeah,
twice
yeah.
the rate.
Yeah,
But
Tebow was
magic seems so
crazy.
strong this time. But yeah, I'll start with the nature's recurve.
Okay.
The It's nice that on successful hit you stay healed up. It's a nice way of just staying on top of health with range.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have as many options of the demonic pact healing. Not like magic and melee do, which
Yeah.
to be fair, melee don't have as many either. Magic's just kind of overtuned this time. I'll
Yeah.
be completely honest with that. But it's nice for that. And it's got good stats on it. I just don't see myself using it much. I don't really plan to do any actual ranged, even for the range training to 50 mil. It's just going to be take a chin champa with 100% regen
Yeah.
and go throw it at monkeys in a tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so I'll pass on that one. I just can't give it a good, honest review because to me it's just a non-factor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'll
Okay.
touch on the other two at the very least.
Sure.
I'll start with Crystal Blessing. That was already OP last time.
Yeah.
Being
Of
able to use
course.
Crystal with melee was fantastic. Being able to use it with magic is just,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, that is so stupidly good.
Yeah. It's an
I am
insane combo right now, especially with
I am very excited for it. Yeah, because
Candid.
it gives better stats than Virtus does.
Right.
Um, Ancestral would give a little bit more magic bonus per piece of gear, but the
Mm-hmm.
magic attack, and then the thing is, it gives that, but it also gives the 15% accuracy and damage on the crystal. Let me make sure I'm saying the right. The bonuses. There we go. Up to a total of 15% damage and 30% accuracy. So
Yeah. It's
by
pretty
far,
insane.
crystal is your best in slot.
Yeah.
It makes gear easy to obtain and gives that. And the piece itself is just +5 prayer, which is nice because there's so much prayer synergy through the builds this time.
Mm-hmm.
Higher prayer increases your damage or procs other effects.
Yeah.
It's just good stuff across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, to the point that a lot of people did not think it was coming back. They thought it was overtuned last time, and so getting it in a stronger form was just shocking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think it may
and
be because not a lot of people pick Tyrnwyn, and I feel like
mhm,
Tyrnwyn has been like a sleeper region for quite some time. Even though a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, even though like you know a bunch of people know about its power, like especially with like the echo items and just all the synergies with like the relics and etc.
mhm. Yeah, so it's just one of those that might have skipped by, but also I think that they just want Tier 1 to be a powerful region, and it's one of those, if it doesn't have a good echo item, for anyone other than cappers is kind of eh.
Yeah.
With, well, cappers and cup rushers, I should say, because they
Mm-hmm.
also really like it for quick points. But for the average player, it's a very nothing area, and the echo item can kind of make or break it. So they give it a powerful one to really boost it up.
Yeah.
Uh, Honestly, Firminick's very similar in that, and the Viking helm looks amazing. If I were going Firminick, I would be very happy with that. But
Yeah. I would also say a lot of people are like scared of certain regions, right? Like the wilderness,
mhm,
people are scared because they think they'll get griefed. And then Tyrnwyn, it has the gauntlet, and a lot of people are like very afraid of the gauntlet.
mhm,
I think this is just like my outside perspective. Is because probably in like the main game, you have to do Song of the Elves, which is basically like you just got to do every single quest, and not a lot of people are at that point where they could like try out the gauntlet, and it just seems daunting. There's like a timer. There's running
yeah.
around. There's so much involved in Gauntlet that people get scared,
Mhm.
even in
It's very much
leagues.
the same sense of how the fight caves in Inferno are, where you're investing this time to fight the boss, and when
Hmm.
you know it, you're gonna plank on it some, and that's just, it's upsetting to people. And like you said, it's very daunting to learn because it is, all right, let me go spend 12 minutes to get one shot this boss and die from a mistake, and then go
Yeah,
do it again and again. And but leagues is the best time to learn, honestly. So if anyone new is considering it, I would
yeah.
heavily suggest just giving it a go.
Hmm.
Uh,
Um,
It'll come sooner than later. I learned last leagues I had never touched Gauntlet outside of it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna send it after a little bit. Got to where I was just running it no problem.
hmm. Yeah, that's sort of like uh, some of my reasoning with like recording these like
Mhm.
podcasts and then also just recording my gameplay because I'm like the type of person that likes to like send it blind for the first time
Mhm.
and just see like what is going on. And I've always been interested in Gauntlet, and that's I picked it on my second account last league, so I didn't get to play it that much. But I
Mhm.
think last time the Crystal Blessing was like 1 out of 30, if I'm not wrong, and I ended up
Yeah.
having to go to drop rate on that one. So
Yeah,
I
sadly same.
so I learned Gauntlet quite a bit, and one of the things that attracted me to Gauntlet is back in the day, like dungeoneering was one of my favorite skills. Um,
Mhm.
like way back in the day, and I thought it was like super cool. Um, I really like that type of gameplay. It's kind of what's it called? I guess it's considered like roguelite or something.
Yeah, it's a very minor version of roguelite, yeah. It's nice for that. It's just fresh start every time, run in, you get what you get, you make it work, or you fail and you try again.
And yeah, and I just that it's like a cool experience just to kind of watch yourself like go and do it. And unfortunately, I didn't record myself doing CG for the first time, but it was like super fun. Like I was on Discord with my
Mhm.
friends, and they're just like looking at me and just like laughing at me like, what are you doing? Like but it's
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of
memorable.
edits that go into it because they have so many layouts, and so you start learning like, okay, I do these to have time saves, but just
Hmm.
learning the first time, it's absolutely a oh goodness, this is overwhelming. Hey, you just
Yeah.
get it slowly, and there's a lot of fun in that incremental
Hmm.
learning as well. And yeah, like you said, uh, Gauntlet was specifically designed after Dungeoneering because Dungeoneering was not coming back into old school,
Yeah.
and so they made that as kind of a baby's,
Hmm.
or like a miniature version, and then from there it evolved into raids. It's essentially raid 0.5,
Yeah.
which is also why people get so intimidated by it because it is kind of this cliff edge of, all right, you've hit the point where you want to go to mid game and main game, go spend weeks in the gauntlet
Hmm.
potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. um okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, and I do believe the drop rate is changed, right? Like am I like 1 out of 15 seems like lower than last time, right?
If it is 1 out of 15, then it is indeed lower. I'm seeing if I can get back to it. I accidentally clicked off of the echo page.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I have it pulled up right now. It says 1 out of 15. I just don't remember what it was last time.
Last time it was 1 out of 30. So yep,
Okay,
it
yeah.
is lower. That's nice to know.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember I was like, oh my god, like, I don't want to spoil the fight too much for people who
Mhm.
haven't done it, but I remember the first time and I was just like, what do I even do here? Like I the
Mhm.
first time I walked into that room, I was just like, wait a minute, what's going on right now? Like it was such a
Yeah.
fun experience.
Oh gosh, and especially the Echo version of it, because the Echo is a souped up version. So once you learn the
Yeah, I
Echo,
meant the
you go back
echo,
to the
yeah.
regular content, it's like, oh, this ain't too bad anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um yeah, yeah, this time, I kind of forgot how to do the gauntlet again, but I'm ready to go back in just yellow on the first run and then kind of figure out okay how to do it, because that's like the other thing that I like, because I'm sort of like I still consider myself like a noob, right? Because I'm just
Mhm.
not I just haven't done it in the main game. So whenever I experience it, like I do things just weird. So I remember last time, like one of my first instincts was to just go up and just hit things. And like I
Mhm.
would use the scepter or like I guess like a torch or whatever.
Mhm.
To and I was like melee build, so I would just go and like hit the boss, and that's how I would get like my first item. And like people are saying like this is completely wrong. Like you got to do like a lap around. And I was like,
Now, in your defense, that was a completely viable strat in
yeah,
leagues because you had so much buffs that your melee with a tier one scepter, or not, it's a tier 0.5 because even the
yeah,
tier one halberd's better stats.
yeah.
You're essentially punching the demi bosses to death. It
Yeah,
works
but it was
because
like
you have so
super
much
good.
more.
I was just like, I feel like this is the way to do it. Like, this makes more sense to me.
Yeah, but anyone that does it the like main game proper way, they're just gonna be like, "What are you
Yeah,
doing,
what do
man?"
you do? Yeah, actually it was like the same thing in Gridmaster because like I went in blind on Whisperer and I was just like I have no idea what is going on like at all. Like
Mhm.
that was a struggle, and it's like all recorded and you could just see me struggle for like 4 hours all the way up until like I beat Awaken Whisperer. But
Mhm.
um yeah, I want like more of that experience, and I'm looking forward to that with like Coliseum and things like that. But
Yeah, absolutely.
um okay, so Crystal Blessing, Nature's Recurve, what else?
Yeah. And so getting to my final region, because I can't speak too much on like the Fang.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it looks interesting. I haven't looked into it enough since I've kind of rolled out the section. But getting into the Devil's Element, which was the redhead stepchild of last league,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, what they done with it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Because on itself, it's still pretty much the same thing. But the fact that it turns any weakness into your chosen style is so strong this time.
Yeah.
So boss has 20% earth weakness. You're using air spells. It becomes 20% air weakness plus the 30% from that, 50%.
Yeah.
And on its own, like that would be nice, but not overwhelming. But with the Pact synergy, like air build is, I use that one as an example because that is one of the top DPS builds we're considering. Uh, you can get to where you have 100% max hit all the time and your damage is just shot through the roof because of
Mm-hmm.
prayer and like just all the synergies right there.
Yeah.
That plus Shadow Flame Quadrant. I think I combine the two honestly because I think the Flame might be the one that switches it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's having the secondary effect that is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's a twin
Yeah.
flame staff with the hit and then ghost hit of 40% additional, but it's also switching the elements and it's just strong.
It's just strong.
Like
Yeah,
that's all I can say
it
for
looks
it.
insane, and later we could talk about like builds and how to utilize this with the packs. But just in general, like they just made this like insane. They just made Mage like just insane this league, and these two items just push it further. Like simply that.
Yes. Yeah, this is if you are doing an elemental build and not a powered save build, this is your bread and butter. You're not going to be using anything else for the entire league.
Yeah.
You get this and you just set your elemental styles up and use it.
Yep.
Because, like you said, we'll talk a little bit more about builds later. But one thing I did consider was doing a water and fire build
Mm-hmm.
because they are a little antagonistic, but at the same time synergistic.
Yeah.
And I can't explain when we're looking at the table, but this I just switched the style and I'm still doing max damage. So
Yeah.
nothing would change except that, which is
It,
crazy.
yeah. You know what's crazy is like I was thinking about the same thing. I was thinking about like fire and water. Like I'll just auto cast fire or auto cast water, and I'll just manually cast fire whenever I need
Mhm.
to, or like vice versa. And
Mhm.
I just think like, oh, this is like super cool. It just I just don't know how I could apply this. Like, where can I apply this? Because do I wanna water cast at everything? Like, okay, like 5K Zuck, that could be
Mhm.
possible. But what about the others? And yeah, this just solved everything, right? It's
Yeah.
just
Just because it converts that weakness means that you're always using the most effective no matter what type you're using. So
yeah.
being it makes these dual builds way
Hmm.
more synergistic, which is nice.
Yeah, a lot of people
They
were
can-
like, it's no longer doubles, it's a nerf, but it's like, wait, flat is actually very powerful too. Like, it's actually
Mhm.
even more powerful. Like, um, yeah.
Yeah, because it turns things that have 0% weakness into a 30%.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard
Yeah.
it used to be okay, you're good only against things that are weak. And also, when it came in last time, they hadn't done the elemental rework, so maybe 10% of mobs had a weakness. Now everything has a weakness, just about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
It's
it'll
just
be fun.
insane. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Actually, we didn't talk about the starting region, which is Varlamore. What do you think about the Echo weapon here?
I think that this one's interesting in that it pretty much is designed for moons. Uh, it gives you all three styles. So each boss is weak to a different one, weak to crush, stab, and slash. This
Mm-hmm.
does all three of them. You don't need to worry about any other weapon. You don't need to worry about getting ice boppers plus dragon sim. You just run in with this. It's
Mm-hmm.
very nice quality of life for that, and it's got the demon bane on it for doing doom because you wanted at least one weapon with demon bane or typeless damage or something to kill the grubs there. I don't
Right.
know if you've done much doom. You did
In
Master,
Gridmaster,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I
So
know what I was doing, but I did it. Like
yeah. So it solves that concern as well. So it's very nice for that. Like it's just I wouldn't say it's anything amazing, but
mm-hmm.
it's very cozy for what it is. It's very well designed as a starter region echo.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they did a fantastic job with it. People were expecting Sunlight Spear and Gloves to come back, and that wouldn't make much sense for a region that is your base region. You're doing your initial leveling in, and everyone gets, so there's no opportunity cost to consider.
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect level of balance for that, where it's powerful, but not anything that's going to be like, all right, I'm going to base my build off this, or I'm going to be using this the full league. No, you're going to use this to get things to run the rest of the league with.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I think also like if it was Echo Soul as your as your Echo boss in your first region, a lot of people would have a hard time. Like
yeah, a lot of people just would not attempt it. It was the issue they had last time with Echo
yeah.
Soul because it was the hardest Echo by far.
Mm-hmm.
Soul is intimidating if you haven't done them. Even if you have, it takes there's a learning curve with Soul.
Oh yeah. I think like out of everything that I've done, especially from like Gridmaster and stuff like that, like I know how to do like Zuck. I would just have to remember it again and maybe practice the end mechanics a little bit more. So I might have to like try like once or twice to kind of figure it out. Um, and same thing with Doom. Like I kind of brute forced it. I would have to learn it a little bit, but with the Colosseum, like with all the invocations and all the different things that you have to kind of solve for, it's very I don't know, like mechanical, or
Yeah.
I don't know like the right word for it, but you really need to know like what you're doing to
No, I
do.
think that's a perfect term for it because the way a lot of people do Coliseum is there's a certain tile they stand on at the start, and they
Hmm.
move on a certain tick
Yeah.
to force certain spawns being impossible or to heavily discourage it because there's a term double south because the
Hmm.
pillar they're hiding behind, if two enemies spawn over there, it's pretty much teleport out, rerun it. In leagues, you can run it, no problem. You can brute force through it.
Yeah.
But in main game, like you have to do a bunch of precise positioning and you have to do these off ticks where it's like range mage melee range swaps, one tick apart type deal.
Hmm.
There's a lot of just mechanics to it, a lot of nitty gritty stuff, and that's why people love it because it is one of those that it's both a skills and a knowledge check.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
also short enough that if you die, you don't feel that bad. Versus Inferno, where you die, it's like, well, there went an hour and a half and
Yeah.
5 million resources, and then
Yep.
people get mad in the corner.
And you know what's crazy? That was like my biggest problems and like the most frustrating thing is I kept getting like close to Zuck, right? So every attempt I
Mhm.
did, I pretty much got there. Like maybe once I messed up on like triple Jad, but every time I got there, and then I would do like one misplay, and everything would just just end, and there goes like my hour, you know.
Yeah,
But
it's the most brutal part of Zuck is it is pretty much a one shot if you mess up. You can get lucky and get
yeah,
chance, but most of the time, if you mess up with the shield, you're just getting smacked.
yeah,
Or if you aggro both things at once, sometimes they just hit too hard for you to last through. And even in leagues, that can happen.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that said, it is definitely learnable. Like you said, you got it done. You had never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that anyone with time can learn this content live in league. So even if they're
Yeah.
new, I think it's worth at least trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's even like sometimes like doing Jad, it's like it's very like simple to a lot of people now just because it's been out for very long and a lot of people have done it. But for someone like me, like I only do Jad during leagues like once. You know what I mean? Like since
Mhm.
I'm not going for point cap, I'm not doing like multiple attempts. So if I look at my history of how many times I've done Jad, it's literally like 3 times in the past 3 years. you know,
Mhm.
so sometimes like like I feel the nerves when I'm going in, and I'm like, okay, I hope I don't mess this up. I hope like this is fine. Especially if I do it like live. I think I
Mhm.
have my VOD from last year of doing Jad, and I'm just like, oh my god, I hope I don't mess this up. Like,
Yeah, the community has the term Jad hands, and
yeah,
it's not just for Jad but Jad was a historical bit of it.
yeah,
You get to it, and the nerves kick in. The anxiety is at a top end. Your heart's beating faster. Your hands are visibly shaking.
hmm,
The first time you do it, after a while, you get used to it, and there's the nerves are gone. But
yeah, yeah.
Zuck and Jad both have that. A lot of bosses have that, where it's like just suddenly the anxiety spikes to 100%, and
Hmm.
you just got to push past it a few times, and then it's like, okay,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
isn't.
It's just fun. Like during leagues, like it's one of those moments where it builds up. Like it's kind of like easy now, but there are ways you can mess it up, especially if you do it with lower stats. Not as many good skills or like not as good gear. Um, it extends the fight and increases your chances of messing up or just like misclicking or something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we kind of
Mhm.
covered the Echo items. Let's talk about some builds. And
Absolutely.
I'm very interested in what you have to say and like what you're leading on because there's quite a
Mhm.
bit of different builds. And, we are talking about earlier, um, a lot of people have like maxed out builds. And of course, we will get to a point where maxed out bills will be taken into consideration and we'll look at like what's good and what's strong, etc. But
Mhm.
we have to get there, right? So, talk to me about how you're planning your build for, the start of the league.
Absolutely. So for the start, because Varlamore is just very melee heavy, Huey
Mhm.
Kodal's designed on melee, Moons
Mhm.
is very designed on melee. You're not going to want to range or mage those unless you're going back to the content after you got like 25 points in your build.
Yeah.
Uh, but to start with, just going straight up the melee tree on the bottom side. So taking
Mhm.
the minimum hit increase into range is doubled.
Mhm.
Range is doubled is just nice in general.
Yeah.
And because of that, you get minimum hit increase of 6 instead of 3.
Mhm.
Uh, and the thing is, with the minimum hit increase, that's the same as your max hit increase in the terms of DPS because
Yeah.
your hit your average of min and max.
Yeah.
Uh,
Actually,
so
can we pause for a second?
yeah,
I actually wanted to bring up how you actually get these packs and
absolutely.
what you are thinking about when you're considering um getting these packs. Like for example, how many packs are you aiming for? I'm just gonna try to find where they
Mhm.
talk about packs.
And I'm gonna send it to you on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
If you can share the image, or if you just want to look at it as a reference.
Okay.
Um, but I've sent you my starter build, and I'm going up through 15 points for the melee, and then I might look at respecking.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just looking through with Kandarin and Tyrannwyn specifically because I expect to get the 3 regions, get to at least tier 5 before I really go heavy into combat at all.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna pull up my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Um, so I had like I just kind of like copied over and I kind of gave it my sort of rating,
Hmm.
and I had sort of like, oh, I guess these aren't your region. Um,
Oh, all good.
we could just look at
The
this. We
main
could,
concern is because you have the similar ones. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. We could just look at the global. Um, so we have some
Mhm.
freebies, right? Where it's just complete the league's tutorial, open the league's
Yep.
menu, and you get 2 points. What is your
Mhm.
starting points that you're looking at? How many are you gonna go for, etc.
Mhm. Yep. So the one thing to remember with these grids is the first point is that center one, the 50% chance to regenerate runes.
Mm-hmm.
That does count. So when you open the League's tutorial, you'll get that one.
Right.
The second one, though, the League's menu, that's where I go for that minimum hit of 3. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would go in, yep, just to that upper right. Uh, and then I would take from there, the range is doubled. That would be off of killing the Hill Giant. And goodness, let me see in my list. Oh, right. And then combat level 50, because at that point you'd start grinding out just a little bit. And I would just take that very next node in the melee for the 15% accuracy bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And 50 combat again. This should be at 12 times 18x. So it should go very quickly.
Okay. And
From
then
there, I would go down into the when you attack, you're at least 2 tiles away. And this is with the expectation that I would have either Rune Halberd to make use of the range
mm-hmm.
or have the Crystal Halberd at this point. I got to look into my day one skilling to see if I can get the Crystal Halberd that early. I'm
Right.
expecting I can. Hard Province's Diary isn't that much. It's like 60 to 70 in skills. And a lot of those I'm already going to train. So it's not that bad.
Okay, cool.
Uh,
So actually, I
but
haven't considered or thought about that, how easy or difficult it is to get a crystal halberd.
yeah, but I was thinking I'd honestly just go for Crystal Halberd really early on, get the stats, and use that to go
Mm-hmm.
through most of the combat. But from there, you have your Protect from Melee, and it just goes straight up the Halberd tree all the way to the inn.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, go over to Karamja, do the Steel Dragon, go over to the Volcano, kill a Czar, doing a little bit of hopping around and just grabbing these real quick, easy tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Because we also have our teleports. So, like, they're
Yeah.
spread out, but you can teleport right up to most of these things
Mm-hmm.
in one go. Um, and then from the Czar, go back over, do one Huey Coda kill. You can just go to a mass world,
Mass world.
have it
Yep.
done in seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then after that, go over to Kandarin and do a Mithril Dragon. This one takes a little bit. You can do it with magic, without any relics. You don't need anything. You can just go to the stairs. You
Mm-hmm.
go up it, cast or attack with your halberd, go back down.
Yeah.
Rinse, repeat, and it just resets this attack every time. You never get hit. So that one, even though it's a higher level and stronger monster, it's free. It might just take a minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, this is considering having Kandarin and Tiruanari opened. I would go to do Volcano because
Okay.
Volcano is not based on your combat stats at all. It might be a little slower, not going to get great credit, but just go in and get a single kill with a group. You can go to a mass world again, and boss is dead in under a minute.
Yeah. Let's
So it's a very quick pickup.
let's have this as like our stopping point, because roughly
Sure.
9 points, like 7 to 9 points, is like a very strong, I would say, like starting build. Um,
Yeah.
just because the first 8 points are fairly easy. Um, and then once you get your region unlock, depending on your region, you also have some freebie points. Like Mithril Dragon is, you do have to like look into it a little bit, but overall it's like fairly easy. So you're planning to go the melee route, and is there a specific reason, like do you have this in mind, like why go melee first? I've seen a lot of people pick the other styles as well. um
Mhm.
but yeah, talk to me about
Yeah.
this.
So again, mainly because there's a lot of bosses that just pretty much require melee. Like you have to go so deep into magic or into range to equal the power of melee on moons. Their stats are just way higher for magic and range. Vardorvis has way higher stats for those. And so the idea of this is to get your melee up, go
Mm-hmm.
do content that is very empowered by melee. Uh, like a little bit further on, I would actually go and do the CG grind using the halberd, and you just annihilate it because
Okay.
you have a halberd that's the entire room. Which that one, to be fair, you could do with magic. You could respec before that, but the idea is just to get as much power early as you can and take
Mm-hmm.
care of what tasks you can, and use this for all the bosses that are weak to melee. So do again Huey Codal, do Moons, do a Moxliadal, and then I could respec into Magic or wherever the next build goes to go and start running the bigger bosses, the mid level or mid tier ones, and start prepping for raids. But
Right.
the idea of this is just to push through. the tiers because it's you have a very powerful weapon that's accessible from the get go.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you have to go and farm out the other ones, and those can take some time.
Yeah.
And the big thing is the magic we were talking about, how powerful it is with the devil's uh forgot his name. I don't know why.
Devil's
Uh
Element, I think,
yeah,
and
Devil's Element and
Quadrant.
yeah, the Shade Quadrant.
Yeah.
Those require 93 Slayer.
Yep.
That's not fast even in leagues.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while.
So like for doing an elemental build, it's gonna take a while for it to come online.
Mm-hmm.
This it's online from the get go, and I could either go into powered saves or into elemental. I haven't decided yet. I gotta do more research before I can say which.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty solid start, and I believe they're adding halberds into certain shops in Varlamore. I don't know if
They
that's true or not.
there was definitely something they said they were going to add to the blacksmith. It was just listed as black text something something, so a
Mm-hmm.
secret. It could be halberds. I mean, if they're giving you this ranged option and very specifically making a halberd build, they're not going to limit that just to tier one.
Right.
So I think you're right. I think it's getting added to Varlamore, so anyone can go halberd if they want,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
not crystal halberd, but they'll or noxious halberd, but they'll be able to
yeah,
go
yeah, of
up
course.
through rune or dragon even.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
thing is, like,
Those are good options early on for sure.
yeah, because the halberd, like it, when you think of it as like, oh, 7 range, that's not that big deal. Then you remember the minimum hit of 3 per tile.
Mm-hmm.
That means if you're attacking from 7 tiles away, you have a minimum hit of 22.
Mm-hmm.
With
Insane.
all the accuracy bonuses, you very quickly hit 20, 25 DPS.
Yeah, especially early on where you don't have as much strength levels. This is it's gonna be very powerful for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's more or less meant to just be a 1 day build, and then I'd respec and go
mm-hmm,
into my more permanent build. But this way, I can even within our regions go do Kraken. Kraken's
mm-hmm.
not meant to be meleeed. With this, you can melee it. It has 0 defensive stats against melee. It'll steamroll it even faster than Magic would.
Yeah. So after this, you are planning on taking on the Echo boss first for Varlamore.
Yep. So I'd just go through, get my 9, 10 points, get the easily accessible ones. Then I'd go back and do the Echo Boss, go do
Mm-hmm.
moons, get some proper melee gear, go do my Huey Codal grind,
Mm-hmm.
knock out a lot of those basic ones. I might even go and stick Vardoris in there.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I might do Vardoris after CG, honestly. But this again, that's getting the very reach independent stuff. Just
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably do everything I could in melee before I say, okay, I'm done with this toy. Let me put it in the bank and switch over to mage and then go blow everything up.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So you're
Yeah.
planning on starting melee and staying melee till pretty much 93 Slayer, is that correct?
More or less, yeah. Going through all the early, probably do the fight caves, a couple of the Jad challenges, everything
Mm-hmm.
with the melee. Um, and it's also good because I need this experience in that stat anyway, so it's kind of killing two birds, one stone. Gives
Yeah.
me early power and gets the stats up, and then I can swap over to mage and mage all the way to 200 mil, and that gives me less time of having to just sit there and AFK train melee at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Um you talked about CG.
Mhm.
Talk to me about like how you plan on utilizing this in CG. So I've heard a couple things. Okay, so I've
Mhm.
heard some people talk about 5 to 1, which I did look up, and I understand the philosophy behind it, and I guess it's definitely doable. It's actually not that crazy to think about. It just maybe might take you a couple attempts before you could actually start pulling off 5 to 1.
Yep.
Um, and then the other thing that I've been hearing a lot about is just running pure prayer penetration. So, what do you think
Yep.
about these builds, and what do you plan on doing personally for CG?
So the responsible answer is the 5 to 1. Use your primary style, use range and mage to cycle it.
Mm-hmm.
That requires brain power.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want as brain off as I can
Yeah.
because, especially like just thinking myself, at this point, I'm gonna be probably a dozen hours in, if not more. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna
Yeah.
be at full capacity. to perform well. So I was thinking I would go and pick up 45% prey pin over the next couple of
The ones down here.
acts. Yeah,
Yep.
you just grab the 3 down there, spend 4 points, grab that 35% accuracy, just really build up some strength, and then go in and just swing melee through the prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time we had 40% penetration,
Yep.
and that was already strong.
Strong, yeah.
Getting even 5% more plus the early strength and just knowing that I can just blitz it that way, it just makes it cozy. So
Yeah.
I'll probably do that in brain off. I say that it'll be a feeling of the moment, but I think that I'll probably just use the prey pin and let that kind of cheese it.
Yeah,
Make the
yeah.
content easier for myself. Anything that makes the content easier for a smoother experience is fun. Just because I've also done the grind. I did it
Mm-hmm.
pretty recently in the game, like a month or two ago, and did 35 a day. So I'm a little
Yeah.
tired of PG. Anything
Right,
to
right, yeah. Yeah, it's
done.
not yeah, if you've done it a bunch of times and you definitely feel the grind a little more, but even though it's like faster. For someone like me, like I'm excited, I'm like, all right, let's do like 50 CGs, let's go, you know. Um
Yeah.
uh,
But honestly, I probably will do at least some swapping because I'm thinking about it. Halberd doesn't get the massive speed up it did in the past.
yeah.
So in CG, it will be one place where this is actually weaker, and I will probably need to do 5-1. That, or by the time I do CG, I'll swap over to Mage and have one tick Gatling powered stave.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people have been talking about like the one tick staff, right? Powered staff. And I think Husky confirmed that it's actually it considered a one-handed staff and not a two-handed staff. So
Hmm.
your damage or your max hit will be reduced. Even then, it's still one tick. So that just makes it insanely powerful. And of course, you could do the same thing with the staff, right? Like you just go into like prayer penetration, pick up as many as you can. It's actually closer to a bunch of options. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, and right now I'm just going off gut feeling. I haven't done enough research into combat to say really like one thing to remember is one tick is powerful, but CG is also not a place where you can just sit there and
yeah, yeah.
blast.
Just
You
TikTok.
have to
Yeah,
do a
yeah.
lot of mobility. You have to dodge the floor tiles and the NATOs.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's more going on than just sit there and let numbers go burr.
Mm-hmm.
And so it may just be more powerful to, at this point, have a dual spec instead of taking prayer pin, take those couple of points, go into a powered staff, and have both styles available. Like
Yeah.
this is where I have to do more thought.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I've only really done the like first few hours. I'll run Halberd. That I'm settled on.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I was also thinking, yeah, instead of maybe just spending a lot of points getting prayer penetration everywhere, you could just like spec into bow or something and just you could just do like two weapons, just like do normal CG. Um,
Absolutely, because for only one power more, you can get up there to the powered staves and have powered staves plus
mm-hmm.
your melee. And even
Yep.
if that's just do swap do,
Yeah.
you'll fly pretty quick.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty comfortable, and especially with halberd and the range,
Mhm.
getting like 7 tiles basically, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
Um, also, you know, there's another strategy that a lot of people have been discussing as well is if you do go the prayer penetration, what you could do is do the Zenite jewelry grind, right? You could just go to demonics and just farm them out. They don't have a prayer requirement, or sorry, a slayer requirement. And you don't have to worry about their overheads. You just blast them with your penetration
Yeah,
and
no, that was absolutely part of the pin plan was take care of CG and take care of demonics, and then respec after that.
respec.
Because
Yeah.
after that prayer pin is completely dead content for
Mm-hmm.
us. There's nothing else in our regions that really have it. I think we might take 1 point later for grubs
Mm-hmm.
in Doom just to make it where you don't have to think and you just hit every grub with the same style.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but as far as actual content, those are the only two that really have prayer in our region. So it's still something I have to debate because
Yeah.
it's not that hard to do proper, but
Mm-hmm.
lazy is so much fun sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Cool, cool. So after this, you're planning on switching over to mage, or is that like a little bit more end game?
No, this would definitely be as soon as I'm done with the CG and that, or even before I'm done with CG, I'll switch it over to Mage. That's going to be our mid game going into bossing, into raids build.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and again, this is where I'm considering which one to go. There's Wind, which is you stack all the prayer in the world to get essentially guaranteed max hit plus 57% damage. You hit pretty strong really
Mm-hmm.
fast because it's a 2-tick cast.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can just melt things with that. Uh, Now the problem is it doesn't have any kind of survivability built into it.
Yeah.
So you do have to either play perfectly, or on content that has damage, you're gonna have to eat, or you will have to spec into um, water as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think with water, the synergy of fire is just stronger, because that was the one I was thinking of, is doing a dual path of fire and water, and you just use water till you're at 160 health or
Mm-hmm.
190, depending on how much overheal you have. Then you use fire, hit your damage plus 22 on your damage because of
Mm-hmm.
how it works,
Yep.
and drain 6 health every cast until you're down to right there around like 110 health, and you swap back over to match or water, and
To
you just
water. Yeah.
like that, and that way you have extremely high burst, back to sustain, extremely high burst, back to
That's
sustain.
insane. Yeah. Yeah, and
And
especially with Devil's Element, like it just
mhm,
makes things so much easier. And of course the quadrant as well. Just being
mhm,
able to just pick whatever content you want to do. You don't really have to think about it too hard. You could just mage it.
yep. And of course, once we get the shadow build, 100% no question goes to powered stave,
Mm-hmm.
because 2-tick shadow is
Yeah. It's over.
you really
You
can't
won.
beat
Yeah.
that. You're gonna be pumping 80s every 2 ticks and just blowing up the screen.
Yeah. And then there's so many percent nodes here. And then
Yeah,
you have crystal armor. Um,
you will hit the max percent for shadow very easily.
yeah, and then you have like the Zenite jewelry, you have a cult necklace, like very, very strong. And then, if you want, you could go get full ancestral. I guess you do have to get it since you are point capping, but um
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be wearing it, but
yeah,
we'll be getting,
yeah.
or we'll wear it once for the task at least.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, crystal armor just looks very, very strong for raids. Um, just yeah, it's you don't have to think about switching too much. It's just one piece of armor just fits everything. You're just gonna switch to melee whenever you need to, switch to magic whenever you need to. Just
Mm,
and then you don't even have to you don't even have to leave magic for most part. Um,
yep. And really, we do, like, once you have enough points, because at that point you're starting to push the end. You're gonna have 30 plus points.
mm-hmm.
You could have the twin styles, or you could have the powered staves, and then you can also dip into ranged, into
Mm-hmm.
crossbows, max hit but 7 ticks,
Yeah,
and that way just use your
execute.
magic, swap over to there, big execute. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
Yeah,
have the node where swapping styles does 25% more damage.
yeah.
Uh, that plus the max hit, and yeah, you just blow up the screen pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. Um, yeah, this seems like a pretty solid, plan about point capping. We talked about like the regions, we talked about the relics, we talked about some builds, and what you can do with them. Is there anything else you want to add or talk about?
Not that I can think of right now. Just I will say, whether it's capping, cup rushing, just playing casually, going for just hitting tier 8, any of those, just make sure people are like, make sure you're prioritizing having fun,
Mm-hmm.
because burning out is the biggest enemy. Like, the thing with capping is it's really going to come down to how efficient you can be and how degenerate you'll be. The
Right,
people that
right.
are playing 18 hours every single day and taking a shower once a week are going to have an advantage. But they have to be having fun to be able to stay that invested
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to push. And like, I don't think I'm going to be first to cap by any means. I am trying to be in like the top 10, but I do plan to still go to work and have a life outside of the game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like you know,
Balance is important, is
yeah,
all.
yeah, it's similar to me as well. Um, I do other things outside of just playing RuneScape all day, right?
Yeah.
And it is a very special time, like for leagues, and I am taking days off to like play the first couple days, which is very, very fun. It's very exciting, and it's kind of fun to be a little irresponsible for a few days,
Mm,
um, as long as you're able to, you tell your family and friends just like, hey, leave me alone for a couple days. Um,
mhm.
it's kind of funny, but it is important to have fun, and also just like take care of yourself. Like you don't want to go sleepless nights for too long. You don't want to ignore your other priorities for too long. Um,
Yeah, exactly. Just don't tank your health over a temporary game mode. When I was younger, I did that a lot with
mhm.
some other games I was competitive in, and it creates lasting damage. Like going a couple nights without sleep can
Yeah,
create months of backlog on you,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just not worth it in the long run. So,
Hmm.
like, I don't think that you need to be told it, but some people definitely have to remember taking care of yourself is the best thing you can do for the game.
Yeah, yeah. And like the whole point of the podcast and like the
Mhm.
roundtable is to talk to other people and see how they play leagues and what they go for. And it's very cool to, talk about um people going for the rush, the Dragon Cup rush, and also like point capping and what they look at, and kind of give you a perspective um for anyone out there who's watching or who will watch in the future, um, like kind of how like some of these things, like how long it takes, what the grind looks like, and uh, if it's fun or not, if it's something
Mm.
that you want to play or you want to cater your play style towards. Um, and also I would say like for myself as well,
Mhm.
I get to like learn a lot, like I learned a lot of things from having you on the podcast. Like of course I'm in the Discord and I'm like reading things like a bunch of times, interacting with the discussion, but it's cool to kind of like put it all together, where I could just talk to like one person and be like, oh okay, like that makes sense. Like there are a couple
Mhm.
things that a lot of people don't think about when they are going for these goals, right? Like for
Mhm.
example, like Dragon Rush, you're not focused on maxing, you are focused on doing other things. But what are those other things? um, Sometimes people don't think about the more mechanical things that a lot of people do for dragon rushing, um, that you might not find fun at all or too difficult to even do. um, so
Absolutely.
yeah. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. Yeah, any last final thoughts, words?
No, just thanks for having me on. It's been a blast. And as always, anytime you need, you can pick my brain on Discord. Always happy to talk about the game and to help out where I can.
Yeah, I would actually love to have you come back maybe like after a week or something, and we could do like a retro on just how your leagues has been going. Maybe you have some AFK
What
time.
buyers? Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about what buyers remorse we got
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that always
exactly.
happens every league. So, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of like, you know, same thing like I've been just saying, like I want to kind of talk to other people before the league, see what plans they have, talk to them, midway through the league, see how it's going, and then maybe by the time next leagues comes around, in the future, we could look back and see our discussions and what we were thinking of, to kind of look back and think about the memories and also get some insight for future planning and whatnot.
Definitely. It'll be a hindsight's 2020 moment for sure.
Yeah, so thanks, Chaotic, for coming on. And yeah, I think that'll be the end of the episode.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.
Yep. You have a good one.
All right.
Bye bye.
Peace. Bye.